What a tremendous Tuesday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you are having a fantastic Tuesday, as of course it is playoffs tonight. The Riverhawks get down there. Not many seats left. So you see the final game of the season in Edmonton. If the Riverhawks win, they will go to the league championship Thursday against the winner of Cornwallis or Portland. So it is your last chance to see the Riverhawks live for this season. Another successful season on and off the field for the Riverhawks. The Gregor Show is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you get in the game. You want to speak successful? How about $65 million and 6 max millions up for grabs? PlayAlberta.ca tonight in Lotto Max, so you can get your tickets there. I'm Jason Gregor alongside Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, of course, running things at YouTube, Facebook, X, etc. And yesterday, these two chapstick addicts. I found out today, Susan, our sales manager, was telling me how, well, they just should have come down and asked me because she has a whole box of chapstick. So now you guys know that if you ever forget one again, you do have somebody who would offer you. I guess she would throw you no, not a case, but you know what I mean. She just lend you some lip balm. Now unopened, of course. It's not like you're sharing. So there you go, cons for future.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like in the words of Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman, big mistake, huge. Because we'll be frequenting that box of lip chap whenever we forget, and that's good to know. But you know what? It was a good test. Steph and I both have ours here. We actually have the same Blistex. His is a little more worn than mine, but we're not gonna make that mistake again.
Oh, you two jabronis. It was so funny. Oh, yeah.
Shout out Blistex.
Exactly. Knew exactly where it was. Yeah, we might have to call them up for a sponsor here. Exactly. Clearly. We got two users. I can tell you, two guys who are big fans of it. So on the show today, we got a loaded show for you. We're going to have Derek Van Diest from NHL.com will join us. We talked about it. We're going to talk about the Oilers and lots of different areas of their game. There's one element of their team that no other team in the NHL has. Do you know what it is? I'll give you a second, Oiler fans. Now, this is a positive, so don't throw in some negative thought. Oh, they got this. No. Something about their team that's a positive that no other team in the NHL offers. And don't say McDavid or Draisaitl. I'm going to give you a hint. It's not them. Obviously, there's no other team that has 2 of the top 5 scorers in the NHL. That's obvious. But a hint, it's something along those lines, but does not involve either 97 or Draisaitl, neither one of the future Hall of Famers. So we'll talk to DVD about it. They had an article talking about the Edmonton Oilers and all the different stats, where they rank, and a lot of their leading edge statistics on the Oilers, high danger chances created, all those sorts of things, which doesn't surprise me. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but this offseason, I've heard from, people outside of Edmonton, people in Edmonton, and I'm kind of perplexed by how many people view like the Oilers as oh my God, they got so many holes and so many question marks. They've been to the Stanley Cup final 2 years in a row. And this past season, they walked all over the rest of the conference. Like, they had 2 bad games against LA. They basically said, you know what, LA, we'll spot you 2 games. And then they won 4 in a row. And then they beat Vegas 4-1. Then they beat Dallas 4-1. They outscored the Stars 22-12. They outscored Vegas 16-10. And in the final 4 games of that series against the LA Kings, after they sleptwalked through the first 2 games, they dominated the Kings. So I'm perplexed by how many people act as though like this Edmonton Oilers team, oh my God, they got so many issues and they're not close to winning. And I'm like, what are you talking about? The Oilers are good in lots of areas. Right? You want them to get younger? Well, they got younger. They'll bring in some new blood. And you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here and tell you, in the regular season, their goaltenders are going to have better numbers than they had last year. Right? So they had a down year there. No question about it. But, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, I think they're pretty good. I think that you can rely on those guys to score 100 points as long as they stay healthy. Like, health is the one thing that none of us can accurately predict or control. So I don't get too caught up in, but injuries. Well, injuries could happen to any team at any time. And it's not something that I think is valid to really worry about because it's unpredictable. So every team, if you lose your number one center, it's going to hurt. Now the Oilers, they lose their number one center. Their second line center is pretty darn good. But, and Nugent Hopkins, if he becomes your second line center, it's okay. But it's still like there's a drop from Draisaitl to Nugent Hopkins, and a much bigger drop than it is from McDavid to Draisaitl. I think we'd all agree with that. But the Edmonton Oilers, I don't find are nearly as bad as people are talking. Like, you got people as the favorites, and they don't have Edmonton as one of the top favorites in the West. And I'm like, how's that possible? They just waxed Dallas and Vegas. What did Dallas do to get way better in the offseason? What did Vegas do? They got Mitch Marner, but they lost Pietrangelo. They lost Nicholas Hague. That's two pretty key pieces on their back end. So, like, who'd the Oilers lose? Like Connor Brown, okay, but is Connor Brown going to be that hard to replace? Is Corey Perry? Corey Perry had an unbelievably unexpected season. I don't think anybody out there thought Corey Perry was going to score 19 goals in the regular season. And then another, he scored 10 in the playoffs. It was amazing. It was an unbelievable year, for sure. But are you telling me that Andrew Mangiapane can't score 19 goals? I think he could. Now, he's not going to fight like Corey Perry, so there are elements that you lose for certain. The other thing is, at the start of last season, they didn't have Jake Wallman. Now you got Wallman, Bouchard, Ekholm, and Nurse. Did you know the Edmonton Oilers are the only team in the NHL that have 4 defensemen who have scored 40 or more points in at least one of the last 3 seasons? Now, there's only 56 defensemen in the NHL who have had a 40-point season the last 3 years. 56. So do the math on 32 teams. That's under an average of 2 per team. And the Oilers have 4 of them. They're the only team in the league who has 4. And if you look at where they are in even strength scoring, they got 4 guys in the top 30 just last year at 5-on-5 and even strength, not 5-on-5, even strength. Like, they got guys who can produce points from your back end. They can move the puck, which is a key strength in today's game. Big bodies, they can move. That's a huge positive for me. No other team has that, right? You've got Evan Bouchard, who over the last 3 years, he ranks 8th in scoring amongst defensemen. The last 2 years, he's 5th, right? He's a really good offensive defenseman. You can't argue. Does he make a few mistakes? Yeah, damn right. But so do the other offensive defensemen. And the other thing that Bouchard does that no other defenseman has done in the last few years in the playoffs is elevate his game as much as he has. He's been really good in the postseason. Really good. So I look at the Oilers and I don't see, a huge issues going into the year. Would you like your goaltender to be a little bit more consistent? 1,000%. We all agree with that. We all know it. But I'd be hard pressed if you believe the Oilers goalies to be worse. Be pretty challenging, don't you think? So to me, that's a big positive. You've made a change to your goalie coach. Pete Aubry comes in. He's already working with Stu Skinner. There's going to be some changes, right? Subtle ones. I don't think you're going to have massive difference. I think the biggest change you're going to see in Stu Skinner's game is his play off the rush. I think you're going to see a little bit less aggression, so he has less ice to take, which means, because if you take too much ice, then you have to go farther across on cross ice passes. It's not his strength. So be a little bit less aggressive. Probably help him. So we'll touch on that. But the Oilers and their blue line, and when you're in today's game, when it's all about transition, trying to score off the rush, and the Edmonton Oilers are one of the best teams. One of the best teams. Hey, Gregor, the Oilers have bad goaltending, great team. Picker got them by LA. Get the rest, great team. Brian Fan. Pickard got them by LA. Are you certain about that? You're 100% certain that he did. Yeah, he won some games. Do you know that in the first 2 games of the series, Stuart Skinner faced 24 high danger chances in the first 2 games? Do you know how many Pickard faced in his 4 games against the LA Kings? 23. So I think the team played way better. It's pretty simple. Pickard was good. Don't get me wrong, he made a few key saves at times, no question. But the environment that he came into when they were down 2-0 was infinitely different than the first two games. So, infinite. And last I checked, Stuart Skinner played pretty well against Vegas and Dallas. I know people, some of you never want to give credit. You only want to look, oh, wow, Pickard. Hey, guess what? So if your backup can help you win, then you got a good team. How many other teams can you say confidently would win with their backup? Right? That's all how you look at it. So, hey, Gregor, last year when I asked you to identify a negative regression candidate on the Oilers, you correctly mentioned Nugent Hopkins. For this year, who stands out as a potential for negative regression coming from Randy? Well, Randy, good memory. Who do I think would be... Well, if Corey Perry was here, that'd be the captain obvious one, right? Because, hey, man, he had total 29 goals. But his 19 goals in the regular season, to me, was a massive one. If I would look at regression, I would probably go with Jake Wallman. Because if you look at his overall season, not just with Edmonton, but if you look at his overall season last year, it's going to be hard pressed for him to get as many points because A, he's not going to get as many minutes in Edmonton as he did between Edmonton and San Jose, right? Like last year, Wallman had 40 points in 75 games. So I could see a slight regression here. Now, the good news is he doesn't get a ton of points on the power play. He only had 8 points combined on the power play, and he only had 1 in Edmonton. So I would say a slight regression. The thing is, the Oilers didn't have a ton of guys like McDavid, Draisaitl. Do I think McDavid's going to regress at 100 points? No. Nugent Hopkins, 49 points, 20 goals. No. Zach Hyman had 44 points. I don't see a big regression there. Then you got like the next forward who's on the team. You're going to Adam Henrique at 27 because Skinner, Brown, and Perry are gone. I actually think there's more candidates. Like my guy on the team who I think is going to have, a pretty good improvement offensively is Vasily Podkolzin. Podkolzin had 8 goals, 24 points last year. I really think Podkolzin's a guy who's going to get close to his career high, which would be 14 goals, which is almost double what he scored last year. And I think he's going to come in around 35, 38 points. I think you're going to see a big jump from him. So yeah, regression's a really good question because the Oilers, it's funny, like they didn't have, like Nuge was obvious to me because he wasn't going to have the he had his unreal year in 2023, right? When he had 104 points, but that was like anybody could have predicted that. I don't think it was captain obvious when you say, hey, Nuge is going to go down. And, then he had 67, he had 49 points, had a ton on the power play. So I thought he was due for it. But this year, the Oilers, funny enough, like that's what's, I think, impressive about the Oilers team. They didn't have, how many guys last year had career years on the Edmonton Oilers? How many? Not Draisaitl, not McDavid, not Bouchard, not Nugent Hopkins, not Hyman, not Ekholm, not Nurse. Now, Corey Perry had like a career year as an old man, but not Connor Brown, not Jeff Skinner, no one. They had nobody have a career year last year. Definitely not their goaltenders. And they still went all the way to Stanley Cup final. That's why I see it's harder to recapture a career year. I think the Oilers have lots of candidates. This year, I would say it's better. It would be a harder challenge to think, who do you think is going to have the biggest improvement? Because there's lots of guys that are there for improvement. So, hey, Gregor, why do you think that is? The team plays better in front of Picker because they don't have any faith in Skinner. It's right in front of you. You just need to open your eyes. Sizzler. Hey, Sizzler. Fun example. Do you want to go look at the amount of high danger chances? Do you think the team plays better? Like, is it the team played better? Right? Did when Stuart Skinner came in, did he not have 3 shutouts in 4 games against Vegas and Dallas? Did he not? Now, are you suggesting that Stu Skinner stood on his head in all of those games? Or did the Oilers play well in those games? I don't buy for a moment that the Oilers play better in front of Calvin Pickard than they do in front of Stuart Skinner. Stuart Skinner could have started game 3. And the Edmonton Oilers were desperate. They were down 2-0, and they knew they had to play better. And it continued. They played well for long stretches, regardless of who their goaltender is. So I know lots of people don't like Skinner. That's okay. But what claims like that are just, anybody who listens to my show knows I do not, you can have an opinion. It's great. But you got to be able to defend your opinion. Your opinion's only valid. Ron Durda told me that. Best advice I ever got. Your opinion's only valid to the point you can defend it. So you got to defend it with facts. If you want to say, hey, the Oilers plays better, it's right in front of your eyes, but you're defending it with no facts and no actual stats. It's just a hollow opinion. And the truth of the matter is, it's not true. Look how well they played against Vegas with Stuart Skinner in goal. Look how well they played against Dallas. And Stuart Skinner played pretty well in those games. It was great. But they weren't leaking. They didn't have a game close. It was their first 2 playoff games. They were just hot garbage. In those 2 games against the Kings, they were hot garbage. The whole team, from goaltender out to everybody, hot garbage. And then they went on a roll, and they played very well. Just how it is. Hey, guys, I think Podkolzin and Savoy, that line's going to be absolutely devastating with Draisaitl from Soggy Corpse. I'm intrigued by Matt Savoy to see, A, where he fits. Because you've got Savoy, you've got Ike Howard, and I am not sleeping on Tomasek. Tomasek, to me, is the biggest wild card for the Edmonton Oilers. He's a 29-year-old NHL first-year player. He's not considered a rookie by the NHL rules. First-year player in the NHL. He, 2 years ago, led the Swedish Elite League in goals. Last year, he led them in scoring by a fair margin. And that's no short thing. Derek Ryan never played in the NHL till he was 29. So I get that Tomasek's older. Some guys develop a little bit later, but he will come here with a lot of confidence. He thinks the game incredibly well. And now here's the thing, though. I've talked to lots of scouts, and I get varying degrees of what they think is successes. And they all admit you don't know because the league and the game is different. But he's very reliable. Like we saw with Podkolzin. Podkolzin stayed on Draisaitl's line for most of the year because he was excellent on the forecheck. He was solid defensively. He didn't add a ton of offense, but he didn't get scored on. And that line, look at their 4 goals against as a trio. Up until even when Arvidsson was gone. But Podkolzin and Draisaitl together, really good. So Tomasek, maybe he's the third line guy. Right? Because they obviously got Brown's gone, Perry's gone. So there's 2 right wingers that they got to fill. Matt Savoy, Tomasek. Those are your 2 leading candidates. Doesn't guarantee that they will that they're going to win those jobs because there's some uncertainty there. That's totally fair. But then you throw in there's Andrew Mangiapane. He's in. Where's Trent Frederick going to play this season? I'm pretty bullish on Trent Frederick, and I think there's a lot of Oilers fans, they don't like the contract, who are going to be like, I think $3.8 million for Trent Frederick, it's going to be very difficult for that to age poorly. I understand he'll be 34, he plays, but even at 34 or 5, if by then the salary cap might be, my God, it might be $135 million. If it's 3.8 and now he's a full-time third liner, it's not the end of the world. But he brings an abrasive style that they need. He can play center or wing. I still think he's more of a winger. To be honest, hasn't played a ton of center in the NHL. But Trent Frederick healthy is going to look a lot different to some Oilers fans. Quick break coming up on the show, man. It's loaded. We got, as I mentioned, Derek Van Diest right off the hop. We got Struddy in the 3 o'clock hour. Dave McCarthy from SiriusXM. Mike Sando, national NFL writer. We're going to talk quarterback tiers. They just came out, and that's TIERS, not TEARS, because it can be different depending on which way you look at it. But we're going to talk about quarterback tiers today. Also, we got Spec. Ryan Holt will be by talking some Bakersfield Condors, a little bit of off-season news with them. We'll take your text at 833-401-1440 in our email inbox. It is The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Centre. TNA Wrestling makes its explosive debut at the Expo Center on Friday, September 26th and Saturday, September 27th for back-to-back nights. Buy your tickets online today. Learn more about what's happening at the Expo Center by visiting the calendar of events online at edmontonexpocenter.com today.
Hey everybody, it's Gene Principe, the Prince of Puns, and I've got something that definitely will float your boat. How would you like to join me and the superstars of hockey on an exotic holiday? Join us on a 7-night cruise through the Mexican Riviera, leaving from LA and including Cabo, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, and more. While we relax and cruise the tropical waters and have some drinks with umbrellas in them, you could attend an intimate meet and greet with legends like Bill Ranford, Jason Strudwick, Kelly Buchberger, Ron Lowe, and more. Don't miss out on every hockey fan's dream cruise, the Edmonton Hockey Legends Cruise. It's going to be one haul of a trip. Prices start at just $23.99, and part of the proceeds support the Ben Stelter Foundation and Kids with Cancer.
Visit cast.tours/Edmonton or call 1-833-347-7678. Call and save $200 when you mention promo code Stingray Radio. Cast Tours, 1-833-347-7678. Every morning, you look in the mirror and see less of yourself. Hair loss can feel like losing a part of who you are.
But it doesn't have to be that way. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we understand the pain of hair loss. Our advanced hair restoration solutions won't just bring back your hair. They'll help you face the mirror with confidence.
Good morning, you sexy beast. Visit drvanceelliott.com today because it's time to be the man you remember. You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
How's your summer so far? Are you zipping around in your new truck from Wolf GMC Buick? If not, you should be. GMC employee pricing continues through August on our entire 2025 GMC Sierras, including the Sierra HD lineup. But just August. Who knows what September brings? Costco members save an additional $1,200 on our 2025 Buick lineup and all our new GMC Terrain. We're here for a good time, not forever. Buy the new reliable vehicle and treat yourself. Employee pricing, 0% financing at Wolf GMC Buick.
Rivalries run deep in Alberta football.
Edmonton all the way. Calgary rules.
But when it comes to the best snack for 3-down fun, there's no Battle of Alberta. It's a clear winner.
Riverhawks beef jerky.
The one thing every Alberta fan agrees on. So whether you're watching the game from your recliner or in the stands, make it a part of your game day.
Wilhauk beef jerky. Because you don't win games with salad. Only available in Leduc.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
Photographers, start your cameras. It's time for Vision Credit Union's annual photo contest. Enter your hometown snapshot and show us what makes your community amazing. Whether it's a view from the farm, a stroll down Main Street, or a weekend at the rodeo, we're looking for snapshots that show off your rural Alberta hometown. Share your photo before September 2nd for a chance to win cash prizes or a donation to your favorite community group. Learn more via Vision's Facebook page or go to whatsyourshare.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Jump on OTR's party shuttle buses to Elks games, Riverhawks games, and concerts at Commonwealth. To see all upcoming events, visit ontherocks.yeg.com.
Sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. As always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, where you can get in the game. Use the promo code Gregor50 and you'll get a free $50 play every month. Try it out, PlayAlberta.ca. Time now to get to the Oil Report, brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton, the all-new redesigned 2026 XC90 is here. Come test drive one today at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. Ooh, baby, looking sleek and good. So check it out at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. Derek Van Diest from NHL.com. During the season, he's a regular Tuesday contributor. Give him the Sunday off. But hey, I noticed he wrote an article, so we had to get him on. DVD, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you doing today?
I am excellent. You had the inside look at the Oilers, in a lot of different categories, looking at some of the new faces. And then also you had the your site had also, the NHL Edge kind of looking at the Panthers. At the Oilers and their numbers. So let's kind of start with both of them. Like, I'm surprised when I look at the Oilers, who have gone to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals and really kind of dominated their way through the Western Conference this year, that people feel like, oh, geez, there's lots of question marks. I don't think there's that many question marks, to be honest. Yeah, they lost some veterans, but it wasn't like they're losing veterans who dominated last year, outside of Corey Perry having, an unexpected kind of Cinderella 39-year-old season.
Yeah, you're right. Corey Perry had a big season and he got a payoff in Los Angeles. Evander Kane missed the entire regular season. So you didn't know what you were going to get him. He had a pretty decent playoffs, but yeah, the top end of this group is still going to be the top end of this group. You still have that core in place, and you have your whole returning defense coming back, basically. So I think, you look at this roster and you're like, okay, well, there's obviously going to be tweaks in the roster. There's always going to be tweaks in the roster. Sam Bowman talked about how he wanted, it's nice to get some fresh faces in here. You don't want to have necessarily the same team year in and year out. You want to get some fresh faces. You want to get some younger bodies in here. And that's what the Oilers plan on doing. I thought, on Giappani, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do and how he can play in a top six role. And if he can get back to scoring the way he scored for the Calgary Flames a couple of years ago. Isaac Howard, that's going to be an interesting, best player in NCAA. He's going to come in here, get a shot to make this team and see how he can, how he can do it in the jump. Matt Savoy's going to come in here. He's going to have to play a role. Chris Knobloch talked about penalty killing and doing things like that. So they do have some youth in the lineup. They've added, I think, probably a little bit more speed. But yeah, they're going to be missing two big guys there in Perry and Kane, but they've also lost Connor Brown, a pretty good penalty killer. But for the most part, this is still a very good hockey team. They still got the two best players in the world. And they got their whole defensive core back. So yeah, I expect them to be challenging again next season. And then they have some money to play with too. So they'll see what kind of tweaks they can make throughout the season going forward. So yeah, there's got to be excitement about this team. I think, a lot of people outside of Edmonton want someone else to kind of come out of the Western Conference, but I still think they're one of the best teams in the Western Conference.
Here's an interesting question for you, DVD. I'm going to tell you the four wingers who end up playing the most minutes in the top six this season. So 5-on-5. I'll say three after Hyman. Hyman's an obvious one. So yeah. Which other three wingers do you think are going to play the most minutes 5-on-5 with Draisaitl and McDavid combined?
Well, I think. Do you play Nugent Hopkins as his own center, or do you play him on the wing? Like, where does he kind of fit in? Right?
That's your answer. So you tell me where.
I think Nugent Hopkins will play on the wing. I think he's just too good of a guy to play down your lineup. You look at Mangiapane; he'll get a lot of time there. He was brought in there to play in that role, so I think he'll get a lot of time there. And then you look at the rest of them, and I think Podkolzin's going to get a chance to kind of move up and play some meaningful minutes this season. He had a pretty good year last year. So I think he's a guy that goes in there. But now you got to wonder, what Isaac Howard's going to bring you. Like, what is that guy going to bring you? You're going to wonder what Tomasic's going to bring you from Europe. High-scoring player in Europe, the best, high scorer in Sweden this year. What kind of player is he? Like, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of role he can play and We were talking, some people think he's going to get 15 to 20 goals. I'm not convinced. It's like, I think he was playing in Europe for a reason, but he's going to come over here, take a kick at the NHL can and see what he can do. So, maybe he can get up there and fill some roles, but it's going to be interesting to see, the dynamics there and how much are Draisaitl and McDavid going to play together next year. That's another question that you have to ask is, are those guys going to play, a lot together or just be kind of another, in case of emergency, break this glass type duo. So, it's going to be a lot of interesting questions there. But I think for the most part, you're right. You're looking at Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, Trent Frederick. He's also another guy there. What kind of impact is he going to make? He's a bottom six guy. But maybe if he gets on a roll or he plays a certain way that kind of fits in the top six, maybe he can get some minutes there as well. They invested a lot in him. Invested in for a long time, so they obviously think that he can come in here and be much more effective than he was in the playoffs. He was affected by that high ankle sprain. I've had those. Those are tough to get in. Those are tough to get over. And it obviously bothered him throughout the playoffs. So we'll see what kind of impact he makes. So I think there's going to be some questions there, but to me, those are the type of guys that you look at that getting some time. On the side of McDavid and Draisaitl.
So give me the three that you think have the most time at the end of the regular season, 5-on-5. We assume Hyman's one, stays healthy. Who are going to be the other next three most regular wingers with Draisaitl/McDavid?
Well, I think Nugent Hopkins will be another, and I think Mangiapane will be there as well. And then, that's another good question. Yeah, maybe Trent Frederick finds a way to kind of play up there as well. And so, see, he's got a big body. We were talking about Draisaitl and what makes a good winger for Draisaitl, and I think that's why Bob Colson was doing so well with him. He just needs a guy to, go in there, forecheck, and get him the puck. And I think Trent Frederick probably could fit that bill if he's healthy.
All right, so I look at and you didn't have Howard or Savoy, and I don't mind that because I think some people just assume, you got to give the rookies automatic, and they might be there. I think there's a chance for one of them. But I just, with Mangiapane and Nugent Hopkins and Hyman and Frederick, there's some veterans, and you're not just gifting guys minutes, right? They're going to have to stay there and earn it. Then you got to stay healthy. And, we see it for rookies, the NHL wear and tear can be taxing for young guys. So we'll see where it goes. But I love that question just because I don't know. I don't think I don't know the right answer. That's why I think even for our audience, you ask them, you give me your three wingers after Hyman that you think are going to play the most top 6 minutes with McDavid and Draisaitl. Let us know at 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. So going back to Nuge, you have him then more as a winger. So then do you have Adam Henrique as the third line center? Or do you think Thomas X playing there? What do you think happens in the 3 slot?
Yeah, I think between Henrique, Tomasek, and Janmark, I think those guys kind of figured that out, who's the third and fourth line center. I'm interested to see what kind of player Tomasek is, because I think, is there a big difference between Tomasek and Janmark and Kasper, Kasper Kapanen? Like, are these guys the same type of player, or does one bring something different than the other? And that's kind of what I'm interested in seeing. To me, if you have the same type of player too often, like they kind of it can get repetitive. So I think it'll be a really good, interesting to me competition. See which of those guys get in the lineup more often, which of those guys get more ice time, which of those guys kill more penalties. Because I think there's similar players. They may not be the exact same player, but I think there's similar players. But I think those are the guys that'll fight it out for those bottom 6 spots and that time for those minutes. And I think Henrique, to me, he's a third line center to start the season. If he can handle it there, if he can play well there, then he'll stay there. And Janmark probably the fourth line center. So that's the way I see it kind of starting off. Obviously it's going to make, move and make different things come around in the season, but those are the 2 guys I see centering the bottom 2 lines.
Derek Van Diest joins us. DVD, of course, you had your article came up on the Oilers, and then they had also the article at NHL.com where the Oilers came up like skating and shot speed. The Oilers were a team that was second in 22-mile-an-hour bursts last year. They were second in 20-mile-an-hour bursts, obviously because of Connor McDavid. That's a big factor in it. But, Leon Draisaitl was right up there. Vasily Podkolzin, Zach Hyman. Matthias Janmark actually had the 6th fastest burst at 24.3 miles an hour in the entire NHL last year. So the Oilers, they definitely could move. And then on the back end, though, you got Evan Bouchard, who nobody shoots harder more often than Bouchard, with 90 plus mile an hour shots. He had 136 of them. Then you throw in Jake Wallman. And, Matthias Ekholm, he's right up there at 97. Wallman's 98. Bouchard's hardest one is right up there as well. Do you see the Oilers, like they're the only team in the NHL who has 4 defensemen who have scored at least 40 points in one of the last 3 years, and Nurse, Wallman, Ekholm, and Bouchard's done it every year. How much offense do you think they're going to get from the blue line this season?
Well, I think they'll get a lot, because you look at Jake Wallman's a guy that can score, and Matthias Ekholm can shoot the puck. And I think those guys, it's a comfort level for those guys. And I think, obviously you got Bouchard. You know what you have in Bouchard. He's an incredibly gifted offensive player. Like it's about being responsible in his own end. And I think he'll kind of fill out his game as we go along here. But I do think that you look at those weapons on the back end, and you look at guys that can jump into the rush, and guys that aren't afraid to jump into the rush, and you can kind of throw Kulak in there as well. This guy can get up and down the ice. So he was kind of given more of a green light last season to get up and down the ice and jump into the rush as well. So I think defense from the back end will be really, really important for the Edmonton Oilers. Those guys got to get up and support the forwards, and I think that's going to be a real strength of this hockey team is their offense from the back end. They got guys that can shoot, but guys that can make plays, and guys that can find holes, guys that are really smart, providing that second wave of support for the rush. So yeah, I think that's going to be a huge strength for the Edmonton Oilers next season is getting guys that can provide that offense. And now obviously it's about defending. It's about playing well defensively in their own zone. The Oilers don't want to be a run and gun team. They know you can't win the Stanley Cup being a run and gun team. So they got to kind of get a little tighter defensively. But yeah, throughout the regular season, I think there's going to be a lot of guys that can put up a lot of points, especially playing with McDavid and Draisaitl. You just got to go in there and find your spot on the rush, and they'll find you.
Derek Van Diest joins us. Last one for you, DVD. What do you think happens with the Oilers goaltending after the trade deadline? Is it Skinner? Or do you think they're going to have a new goalie after the trade deadline?
I think they'll have a new goalie after the trade deadline. I really do. Whether they move, I don't like the idea of moving Skinner, because I do think that his best years are in front of him. I mean, this is a guy that's gone to 2 Cup finals already. I don't like the idea of moving him because he's a young guy, and they're both unrestricted free agents. So you're going to have to sign one or move one or do something. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Skinner going into the season, if this is his last season and he's an unrestricted free agent next year. But I do think that the Oilers are going to go out and get a proven veteran guy to help them make another Stanley Cup run. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me type thing. Going in a third time with this duo. Not that they played really bad. They just they weren't consistent enough. And they played well through the first 3 rounds, but if you want to ring the bell, you need that great goaltending in the final. You need to be consistent in the final, and they just weren't consistent enough in that final. So yeah, I do see the Oilers going out there, trade deadline, a goalie's going to become available. Some team's going to say, hey, we got to move our star goalie to kind of rebuild or kind of get in some younger prospects in here. So I think that's what they're waiting for. There was nothing really much available in free agency. So they're going to start the season with the 2 guys they have. But I would be very surprised if they end the season with the 2 guys they have.
DVD, great stuff, man. Are you taking more summer off, or are they putting you back to work now?
No, well, it's been it's been a quiet summer. So just waiting for that Connor McDavid contract extension, and then everyone kind of relax. But I'm trying to golf a little more this year. I'm trying to get out on the course a little more. So we'll see how that keeps going. So I'm enjoying that.
What is your what's your prediction for McDavid's contract?
I think it'll be 4 years at about 16.5, and it'll be signed sometime in September after the Canadian orientation camp. That's what I think it'll happen. But I don't think it'll be an 8-year deal. I think it'll be a 4-year deal that gives him 5 seasons to try and win a cup here in Edmonton, and then he'll probably reevaluate where he wants to go. You look at Bouchard's contract is 4 years because the cap is going to go up. So I think that's in my 16, 17 range. That's what I'm thinking, because he doesn't want to be the guy that, takes up all the cap space. And then he obviously needs help winning the Stanley Cup. To him, winning the Stanley Cup is top priority, and he wants to do it here. And I think, they're going to give him a chance. He's going to say, okay, we got 5 years to do it here. Or if we can't do it here, if I don't think this team's going in that right direction, then I'm going to weigh my options after that. So I think it's going to be a 4-year extension somewhere between 16 and 17.
DVD. Hey, how's your golf game?
It's getting better. It's been more consistent. Instead of hitting one good shot and 3 bad shots, I'm hitting about 3 good shots and 1 bad shot every hole. So
that's a big change.
It's getting a little better, and I'm a pretty good putter. So that's not bad. But it's getting a little bit more consistent. So it's just a matter of muscle memory, getting out, hitting balls, and just muscle memory and trying to keep the ball straight.
Oh, okay, awesome. Well, good stuff, buddy. We'll talk to you again. Thanks for joining us.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
There you go. That's Derek Van Diest from NHLGolf.com. Check out his article on the Oilers. They're doing a whole month, every team in the month of August at NHL.com. They also had the Oilers where they come up, and lots of positives. If you're looking kind of into some other numbers, the Oilers are obviously one of the fastest teams. That they shoot the puck. Their high danger prowess. They led the NHL in high danger shots on goal with 703, which was 23 more than the next closest. They were 4th in high danger goals allowed at the other end. The Oilers also were very good at limiting high danger shots on goal. And they had the best high danger shots on goal differential. They were plus 84. So they fired more high danger shots than they allowed, 184, which is significant, which is obviously over 2 per game. And high danger, of course, is where most of the goals are scored. They're also a team that they were the only team in the NHL who ranked in the top 4 in offensive zone time percentage at all strengths. They were 4th. They were tied for 4th at even strength. They're 4th in the power play and actually 3rd in the penalty kill, which not going to get a ton of offensive time in the penalty kill. So that was obviously good. They were 3rd in both 5-on-5 shot attempts and shot on goal differential, trailing only Carolina and Florida. So there's lots of areas that the Oilers were good. No surprise. That's why they went to the Stanley Cup final. They're a good team, right? They lost to a Florida team that, man, they had so many guys having career playoffs. And that's sometimes what you need if you want to win. And, the Oilers, obviously there's the one element you can never predict, which is health. And if Hyman's healthy, maybe things are different. We'll see. We'll return and we'll talk about a little health, and we'll talk about a little bit of the importance. Hey, we know it's important. We always hear about hockey sense, sports sense. We'll talk a little neurology next when it comes to sports on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of the Silent Ice Center and just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Summit is your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Experience the perfect blend of flavor and ambiance in a modern setting. Join us for a straightforward yet elevated dining experience where our commitment to quality speaks to every bite and sip. Make Summit Restaurant your next night on the town.
McDonald's Summer Drink Days are here. Get a $2 small fruit splash beverage or a small frappe or smoothie for just $3 each. Summer's booming with McDonald's Summer Drink Days. Excludes additional flavor shots and toppings at participating McDonald's and candidates. Taxes extra. Prices exclude delivery.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquessential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade. Safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
It's the Brick's Great Canadian Staycation Sale. Score hot summer savings like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and free local delivery on outdoor furniture purchases of $4.99 or more. Save 60% off genuine leather and reclining sofas when you buy the matching love seater chair. Plus, save up to 20% off dining and bedroom furniture. Get up to $400 off big screen TVs and buy more, save more. Up to $1,000 off select major appliances. The Brick, saving you more.
Work never gets done by standing around. You have to put your words into action. And that's exactly what GS Construction does every single day. Our priorities are safety first, quality second, efficiency third. GS Construction works hard It's true, but first comes the care, the planning, and the people. Underground infrastructure isn't just about machines and trenches and some traffic inconveniences. It's about doing things right. Find out more on what we do. Visit gsconstruction.ca.
On the Rocks, the party never stops.
Check it out.
Mondays, bingo tunes.
Tuesdays, tacos and tequila.
Wednesdays, it's wings and karaoke.
Shake what your mama gave ya with salsa lessons on Thursdays and the best Latin DJs.
Plus, live music every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, along with DJ Kenny K.
Hold on, let's not forget $5 happy hour, 7 days a week.
Your bar, your party. You're on the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
Jazz Brab and 118th.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. What's the best way to beat the tariffs? Buy Canadian. Cantork's products are not only made in Canada, but right here in Edmonton. Save money, support Canada at cantork.com.
Hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Hey, can you give me the 247 Sports 1440 Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you're having a lovely Tuesday afternoon. Remember, Daily Grand, 65 million. Get yours at playalberta.ca. And it's time to get to the injury report, brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. From weekend warriors to professional athletes, kids playing soccer to grandparents in the garden, rotator cuff tears, tendonitis to post-surgical knees and hips, they fix your body. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com. And we talk a lot about the body, but also, you know what? They also work on the brain, which is a rather important part when it comes to life, and specifically in sports, as Grant Fedoric from Leading Edge Physio joins us today all the way from Portugal. Grant, my man, how you doing?
I'm good. I hope you can hear me okay. I've been doing a few shows from over here, and it's been interesting, to say the least.
No, we got you good. So I know today we want to touch a little bit about neurology, which of course is it's a massive part of life in sports. If the brain's working, everything is better. Now I know you and I have been doing this, man, for almost a decade, and just since we started, you've always been on the cusp of looking to find new ages. Like, they've learned so much more education on the brain. Like, it's funny, it's the most important part of our body, but it seems like it's the area where we've seen the most growth, from concussions and concussion protocols and all sorts of different things. So I guess let's just start there. And what have you seen in your industry as the biggest benefactors of science that allows you to help athletes, or even just people who get in car accidents and stuff, to recover from brain injuries?
Oh man, there's so many things. Primarily in that realm, I'd say the research is really strong in managing people's ability to process. So the brain is kind of very important to look at it in two ways. There's the hardware, which is the brain itself, and then there's the processing ability of the brain, which is kind of the software, the way we look at it. So in that area, I would say cognitive rehab, huge area that we work strong with patients. Vestibular dysfunctions that kind of go with brain injury. The research is really strong in making sure that that part is being addressed, and we have a lot of technology in that area that can make huge difference on patients that are having difficulty with dizziness and balance irregulation due to concussion and injuries like that, plus our advances in the management of symptoms around the neck due to injuries that happen from concussions. We're treating a lot of neuropathy, which are problems that happen in the nerves throughout the body from different injuries as well. So we're talking about things like, if you remember way back when one of the Oilers took a slash to the outside of the leg and damaged the common peroneal nerve, which he had basically like a foot drop as a result. And it takes a long time for that nerve to regrow over a period of time, things like that. That's one type of neuropathy. We see neuropathy in patients who are undergoing chemotherapy and radiation, diabetic neuropathy, Bell's palsy. People who have a viral infection can end up with like a facial droop, loss of the ability to use their facial muscles, but also salivary glands. The whole facial nerve is involved. And when we're treating things along as far as neuropathy goes, we have a lot of technological advances in that area. One being StimPod, which is using basically what's called like a radio frequency. So you're thinking it's like an electrical stimulus. It is, but it's a radio frequency stimulus in order to help regenerate and have those nerves function properly by stimulating them from end to end. And that's basically from the nerve where we stimulate it right up to the spinal cord. So when you say neurology, Jason, man, your can of worms is the least is a great way to describe it, because there's so many things that we could talk about here.
Well, it's fascinating to me how you talk. Just it's different for so many different elements, right? From
right.
cancer to Bell's palsy, you know, concussions, and there's so much about the brain you're still learning. So, you know, you talk about the StimPod that I think a lot of people probably haven't heard about it. So, who are some of the people listening right now? What are some of the best injuries that you've had the most success treating because of it?
Yeah, so we're using it a lot on people who are getting symptoms from disc pathology. So we're talking about somebody who's got a bulging or protrusion of their disc, which is impacting and compressing the nerve, causing numbness, tingling, burning down the leg into the foot and toes. We're using it very effectively for that, in combination with other treatments that we have, like traction and IMS and things we've talked about on the show. None of this is used as a standalone treatment. It's just another tool in our bag. But that would be a big one for those athletes out there. Again, a neuropraxia. So somebody who's had a slash to the forearm, to the shoulder, to the leg, and they've got numbness in that area as a result of compression of the nerve from like a hockey stick or from being hit. A burner, you hear that term of, you know, a burner is the term they used to use in sport. Basically what's happening in many cases in the neck, if the neck is turned in a certain position, you put a lot of stress on portions of the nerve before it goes through, called the brachial plexus, can cause numbness and tingling down the arm. All of those things can respond to this treatment that we're doing called StimPod.
Okay. On average, like, and I know that's why I say average, because it's going to be different for every human, but you know, how many treatments on average you start to see success in rehab where people don't have to come back?
Well, it's fantastic. With this treatment, you can start to see, I mean, with as soon as there's the nerve involvement, it takes a period of time. All that we can do as physios, and this is the part I love for people to understand, I can't make you heal better. All that or faster, all I can do is give your body the best chance to recover on its own. So everything that we do is to give the body a chance to recover, to do its own work. So a stimulus using nerve stimulation like this through the StimPod is just providing an outside stimulus to the nerve so that it can start to function normally on its own. But that takes a period of recovery in its own time frame of healing. And with neuropathy, it varies. It depends on the problem. So for instance, with a serious neuropraxia, which we call a neurotomesis, when that happens, it's a period of time you can literally measure the length of the nerve from the beginning back to the spinal cord, and it regrows at a period of 1.2 millimeters per day. So you can actually kind of calculate it in some cases. In others, like when we're talking about radiation, diabetes, neuropathy, Bell's palsy, we see some improvement usually within a treatment or two. The length of time to recovery is going to be very dependent on the person who's in front of us, age, their genetics. There's so many things that play a role. I would suggest to somebody, though, that we're going to see some change or improvement within 2 or 3 visits.
You mentioned Bell's palsy, which is, you know, it's a virus, right? And it impacts you. And, you know, obviously we've seen some people that don't recover and then others do recover. Why?
Yeah, so it's swelling and inflammation of the facial nerve, where the facial nerves passes through a really narrow canal. What can cause that are a lot of different things. Viral infections, so previous infection like mononucleosis, Epstein, which is Epstein-Barr virus, the flu. There's all kinds of different viral infections that can cause it. In some cases, it's they just don't know why you get it. Somebody can just also get it out of nowhere. in that instance, what we're doing is stimulating that nerve in order to create a recovery along that way, along that that nerve pathway. To answer your question, we don't entirely know exactly why it happens and why some recover and don't. The neat part about the stim pod is it was actually developed by neurologists specifically for Bell's palsy and specifically for people who had chronic Bell's palsy. So people who had it for a long period of time and still had some facial droop, still had difficulty, for instance, blinking on one side of the eye, things like that. We've been using it on acute cases, people who are presenting with it and making sure that they get a quicker recovery, a more complete recovery. And that's our goal, but it does and was created for people who have chronic Bell's palsy.
Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physio joins us. Grant, we're also nearing the end of August, and you know what? At all levels of sports, tryouts are coming. People have been training all the time. What's your advice? Because people do weight training, and then they have the final week leading up to a camp. Especially for hockey, of course, because it starts. But even football season just began at the junior levels, and kids get back into track and field. What are some of the don'ts that you probably see an increase of injury coming back, and when people just kind of jump into it, even for young athletes? What should we try to avoid, or what do we need to do to avoid injury coming back?
Yeah, that's a great question. Too much. Usually, the number one thing for injury is going to be too much, too fast, and that means that you've been away from an activity for a period of time, and you just reintroduce it as if you had been playing it the entire period of time. That's a number one cause of injury. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you try to go that route, you're probably going to end up in one of our clinics. So watch out for that. Introducing a new activity. So let's say you've taken the summer off and you're going to start doing something like speed training or plyometrics, and you just get right back into it, but you weren't doing it the prior season. Don't introduce something new without building up to it first. That would be another good example. Check your equipment, man. I'll tell you, when you've been away from a sport for a period of time, the number one thing people do is they just pull out their bag, and whether it's hockey, soccer, whatever the sport you're playing, football, you grab the same stuff you played the previous season and you just throw it on. Have a look at your equipment. It starts there. The right shoes, the right footwear, the right skates, make sure that they're still fitting you properly. Go through the checklist, make sure you've got the right equipment to play the sport. That's number one for safety, but number two for preventing re-injury.
Yeah, I would think so, right? Maybe, well, for us weekend warriors, you're just like, hey man, I don't want to buy a new pair of skates, so hopefully nothing's changed there. But yeah, definitely for kids who are growing, and things move all around, like when you're growing, because that's the other thing, like when young athletes are growing, Grant, their body transforms a little bit, right? And there's things that all of a sudden they just don't fit, because whether it's maybe you have more hip mobility, less hip mobility, depending on what you've done in the summer, that can lead to having some sort of deficiencies. And then you need, I think it's in your industry that some people call it the correctives.
Yeah, sure. Functional training, things like that. Just making sure that you address the length of muscles and the strength of muscles. Remember, as you're growing, boys and girls, bones and muscles don't develop at the exact same rate. Things happen, and so you'll see an athlete stretch, for instance, and by stretch I mean they grow really quick. They go through a spurt. All of a sudden, they've got muscles that aren't accommodated to the new bone length that they've developed over a period of time, and that's a common thing that you'll see. So always introducing sport, watching out for certain age related activities that you're doing. There was a time when I was younger, and you used to say if you were under 13 or 14 years of age, don't go to the gym. We don't subscribe to that anymore. We just make sure that when they're doing it at a proper level, and it's making sure that we're watching over them, and they're doing proper techniques. They're not trying to add too much weight at the wrong time, because it does depend on whether their tissue can happen. Basically, if you're taking a tissue past its tensile ability to keep up with it, you're going to damage it. You're going to end up with a tear or a tendonitis or something like that, and we'll be faced with you in the clinic, and we don't want to see that. We're hoping not to see you.
Grant, quickly, best place to go in Portugal?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. Well, let's put it this way. Lisbon was great. It's an amazing old city with so much to do, but I would say Algarve. If you're trying to picture something that's out of the books, with beautiful beaches, marinas, and water as far as you can go see, I would say it's the Algarve. Pretty lucky to be here right now. I can't wait to get home, though. I miss Edmonton.
Algarve. All right, man. Well, thanks for this. Fly safe, and we'll talk to you again next month. Have a great day.
Take care. See you, Jason. Talk to you soon.
There you go. That's Grant Fedoruk from Leading Edge Physio. And man, neuropathy and just the advancements in technology and how you can get your body back functioning better from serious head injuries, Bell's palsy, lots of stuff related to cancer and diabetes and many other things. Leading Edge is always on top of it. So check it out, leadingedgephysio.com. Coming up in the 3 o'clock hour, Jason Strudwick is going to join us. We also have Mike Sando, pretty pumped if you're an NFL fan, one of the best national writers in the U.S., joining us, talk some NFL and the quarterback tiers that they came out with. We got McCarthy, Speck, Ryan Holt on the Condors. Busy show. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of the no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer long, legacyheating.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Game day in our city. The Riverhawks hosting the Bellingham Bells in the North Final. This one gets going 7:05 down at Remax Field at the Major League level. Jays kicking off a series against the Cubs in Toronto. First pitch set for 5:07. Elsewhere, Orioles hosting the M's. Twins taking on the Yankees. You got the Mets and the Braves. Tigers, White Sox, Cards taking on the Rockies. Red Sox in Houston, and the Angels hosting the Dodgers at the Hlinka Gretzky in Czechia. Canada crushing Switzerland 9-1 this morning. They'll meet the host Czechs tomorrow at noon, who fell to the Finns 4-1. And in the WNBA, you've got the Fever hosting the Wings at 5:30. Then at 8, Liberty in LA taking on the Sparks. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll hear from former NHLers Terry Ryan and Jason Strudwick. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
The sun is shining, the weather's warm, and some of Edmonton's favorite sports are back in season. If you're looking for the cherry on top of a perfect summer day, check out Play Alberta to experience casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Download the Play Alberta app today and deposit $20 or more with promo code SUMMER to claim a $100 casino bonus. That's promo code SUMMER for a $100 casino bonus on us. Redeemable once per Play Alberta account. Remember, if you gamble, please use your game sense.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy,
YouTube,
Edmonton
Facebook.
Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is the #1 air conditioning install company for slushy lovers. Because while a slushy keeps you cool as an 80s song for a moment, AC from Legacy keeps you cold as ice all season long. A permanent full-body slushy sensation keeping you cold as ice with no payments and no interest for 1 year. Keeping you cool without the brain freeze. That's how you build a legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The 8th annual Oilers Nation Open tees off Friday, August 29th at 9 a.m. A Texas scramble with fellow golfers, sports fans, and maybe even a few local personalities. Great shots, cold drinks, and a great cause. Gregor's Grads. Sign up at nationgear.ca.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Reports suggest the Canadian taste buds are bored to tears.
My mouth can't handle another dull drink.
Summertime smoothie experts everywhere are recommending a watermelon wake-up from Booster Juice.
It's so smooth, cool, and refreshing.
And ridiculously delicious. Enjoy the Watermelon Wave and Watermelon Explosion smoothies, available all summer long at a Booster Juice near you. Stay cool, Canada.
Booster Juice, Canadian born, blending since 1999.
Are you an elite athlete or weekend warrior and you just want to enjoy playing the sport you love with less or even no pain? Have you tried every exercise and stretch imaginable, hoping the next one might do the trick? Well, you tried analog. At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe healing can move along better and sometimes even faster with evidence-based technology techniques and the people who know how and when to apply it. StimPod, zero-gravity treadmills, radial shockwave, and so much more at your fingertips when you click to find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan for all your residential water needs, your local water treatment company. More than just big bottles, Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just after 3 o'clock, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. We always appreciate you listening, watching the show. I know many of you listening on the app at iHeartRadio or Radio Player or even the Stingray app. So wherever you're taking the show, we appreciate it. Of course, Jay's back in action, taking on the Cubbies tonight, and close to home, the Edmonton Riverhawks. They're in the division final, conference final tonight. They are hosting, and if they win, they will move on to the league final, which goes Thursday. I know it's a little bit of a quirky schedule. It has to do with lots of guys going back to college and stuff, but the Riverhawks tonight at home with an opportunity to go to the WCL final on Thursday. The reason it'll be on the road is because both of the southern teams have both have more wins. So regardless of who wins between those two teams, the Riverhawks, if they win, will be going on the road, which is fine because they've been pretty good on the road. No debates on that. But should be great tonight. First pitch just after 7 o'clock tonight for the Riverhawks, and there are some tickets available. So good luck. Get down there. Should be fun. As we welcome to the program, he was a first-round draft pick by the Montreal Canadiens. He's in the Newfoundland Sports Hall of Fame. Stars on Shoresy as Hitch. Terry Ryan joins us. And the one thing I know about TR, saw a few videos from the Chris Nyland Celebrity Golf Tournament, TR. The golf game, clearly you're too busy because you haven't as a great athlete, your golf game, it's got some room to improve based on the videos I've seen.
Oh, based on the videos you've seen, and those videos, they aren't telling lies. That's basically, exactly. It's one. Well, but I'm playing mostly scrambles, so
yeah, it's hard.
Like, every few holes, like I'm gonna hit a shot or two, sometimes 3, but then I'll hit 10 in a row. Some will go into the woods, one will go 4 feet. I might miss the ball. Well, I'm beyond that, but still. I'm not good, but I'm raising a lot of money. That's the main thing.
Well, hey, buddy, you can't be great at everything, right? Golf is the one. If you want to get good at golf, you got to put in the time. It's just, hey, you want to be a better actor, you got to go to acting school. You got to do different things, right? Like it is funny. Like golf, it looks so simple because you're stationary. You're like, well, I should be able to swing and hit a ball, but clearly it's not that easy.
The weird thing is, like that would never happen if I was hitting a slap shot, right? Or like I played baseball my whole life and like hit curveballs and sliders and fastball, and yet I'm looking right at the ball. But I find that like I'm not good enough to get bothered by it. Yes. I laugh. Mm-hmm. I find it intriguing. I laugh. I enjoy. Usually, even the worst of golf courses is a nice walk and out in nature. So I like more than there's more appealing traits about golf that I enjoy than not. Now, you want to talk ball hockey, then, we can talk about practice and we talk about national championships all you want. The Newfoundland just brought another one home, baby.
Yeah, I saw that, you guys, and you were aware, geez, like, even as a bordering on senior citizen, you're still sporting the sea, right? I love it.
Well, that's why. Experience. You got it, man. And the Newfoundland, there's a lot of division. When I started the ball hockey with the national program, it was, there was a junior team and there was a men's team.
Okay.
And now there's all different divisions. So that was a hard week. I played in both. Now there's a 33 plus, that's Masters, and then there's a 44 plus, and that's Legends. And so I guess I went up to play Masters, but the boys needed some help, so I played in both divisions. Now our Newfoundland girls, they won the nationals as well. So we got a national Masters and women, and then came up short in the men's. But it's wild because Newfoundland, like I'm going down as we speak. Fires here, by the way, too, man. Lots of smoke in the air, but we're going down right on the water down in Kitty Vitty here. They got as we speak, the Canada Games is happening.
Okay.
So we're going to watch Newfoundland now play Quebec. And as is in most of the case, like we're the underdogs, right? Soccer, most sports, right? We'll be here and we'll be lucky to get a medal. Hopefully we do. We'll get one in something, if not multiple. But when it comes to ball hockey, running is the great equalizer. And when you take, skating out of the picture, and Newfoundlanders just love to run and run hard. And so we're a little more competitive on a national level when it comes to ball hockey, I believe, because we go real hard. All the hockey guys play. I mean, it was all ice hockey guys, basically, that played it. And we got a great women's program, too. It's a sport that we got that. We got curling. We got rugby. And anything else. You might have a group of people that are determined, that have a good, tennis or, even, I guess, soccer once in a while, track and field. You might get the odd swimmer that cracks the bronze in a Canadian level, but for the most part, we're not favorites going into many things, but in ball hockey, we're one of them.
All right. And, well, I'm assuming it's like anything, and kids see the success, and so more kids want to play growing up. That's just kind of how it goes.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. And it's I will say, soccer, we're really coming up. My daughter's in the car with me now. We're going down to watch this, but our senior women have won the national championship the last 2 years. So we're really, really coming on, especially in the female sector.
No, I love it. Now, I want to get your thoughts. First of all, when is the next season of Shoresy being filmed?
We already filmed it. It'll be out. I mean, I'm not privy to that stuff normally, but I'd be surprised if it wasn't Christmas Day when Letterkenny used to come out.
Oh, okay.
I would think we've got it done. This will be the longest. We were done shooting it 3 months ago.
Oh,
but it is going to be. I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but if people enjoyed the first few seasons, then like a lot of the familiar faces and people that you want to see come back. There's reason that we all get together, and there's reason you're going to see a lot of people for not only for nostalgic but for comedic purposes. I think people are going to really like it.
All right. Here we are, TR. It's the middle of August. I actually bumped into two NHL players here in the last 2 days. And, hey, how's the summer going? Yada, yada, yada. And both of them are like, you know what? We're skating. It's good, but I'm kind of tired of the gym. Right now, these guys, obviously, they didn't go to the Stanley Cup final, these two guys. And so tell me about the dog days, because, players, the season ends for half the league on April 15th. Right. And then obviously other teams are done by the end of the month. And, so that's all of May, June, July. Like, you got 4 months straight of training. Now, guys never used to be on the ice as much as they are now, but they used to work out as much. Can you tell me kind of about the dog days of it and really the importance? Because the one thing I've noticed, injuries in August for training, Achilles and other injuries, they seem to be more prevalent in August than they are in June. So maybe it's wear and tear. I'm not sure, but what do guys have to be leery of here the final few weeks before camp that you don't get injured? Because sadly, like I remember Andre Sekera ripped his, and I've seen other where you have some severe injuries training in August. Why do you think that is?
I think it's exactly what you said, man. You're off. It gets you get. Well, I don't know what the word is, but the training gets a bit monotonous, right? And so I'm telling you, for this reason, even back then, people, I was like, I needed to work on my skating, and I hated doing it. But the Canadians, and credit to them, they would always, myself, Darcy Tucker, Brad Brown, Matt Hay, I remember a bunch of us, if we presented them a good enough argument, they would give us the money to train wherever we wanted. So I went over 2 seasons in a row and spent all of June and part of July in Sweden, a place called Västerås. I used to go to Montreal ahead of time. Like right now, I know myself, and I know that I will train, but I'd be home in the summer, and my buddies would be around. George Street's right there. we would train, but I just found I'd go harder if I was just around the boys. So I would always go to Montreal for this, 5 years that I was in that organization. Including right after I was drafted, I went immediately there. I just knew that it would be better if I went, and I'd be better off if I trained with Saku Koivu and Vincent Damphousse and these guys for that exact reason. Because even if you don't want to, you start to get lackadaisical. It's summer. The weather is so hot and humid, and you might be training, but you also might go to the beach for those extra couple hours. Hey, those beers are really cold. I just for me, it wasn't even a decision. One year I went to Brock University. I used to train there. I went to Brainerd, Minnesota, hitched on with the San Jose guys, a guy, Chuck Grillo. He used to have a camp there, and myself, Richard Park, Danny Cleary, Jason Perolin. There was a few of us that were under IMG. That was our agent. And San Jose let us go train there. That was another good one. I didn't let myself come home for 3 weeks straight. That's the honest truth whenever I was playing pro hockey. For that, you didn't want to get complacent. But I also knew that if I'm with the NHLers that are going to be on my team that I'm trying out for, well, they can't really fault me there. I'm going to have to be as ready as I'm going to be. And not only that, the Canadian staff are right there. Graham Rinbend, Stéphane Dubois, boys were right there if I needed them. So I always felt more comfortable going to the Lions Den.
Yeah. Well, and I could see that, right? Hey, it doesn't matter. You're professional. You know what you're supposed to do, but you get a little bored of anything, right? It's same old. And now they have skating way more. And obviously I know you've talked about a lot. You're like, man, I wish we would have had that, because if you have more chance to work on your skating, you got a better chance to improve your skating. Now they have very specific drills. And we talked to Kevin Woodley yesterday. And so he was skating with Bedard and Celebrini and watching them focus specifically on coming out of the corner and where you were shooting over and over and over again, because we all know that the vast majority of goalies, they go down in the butterfly, and you've got a 3-inch window that you can put it in over the shoulder.
Yeah, like that. Now that is what's different. Such specifics. There you go. I often, when people say that we didn't train, I get a little bit offended. I'm like, man, I went as hard as I could. It's just that we didn't have the options, and we also didn't know the true source analytics of it all, right? There was things that were just kind of on the precipice of breaking out, all of that stuff off ice. We trained, but it was to be so specific was definitely a thing of the future. Now, I love that they're doing this, by the way. When I say that sometimes people get too wrapped up in analytics, I mean, if you're in the playoffs and, baseball, hockey, sometimes a coach goes with a hunch. Sometimes John Schneider makes a hunch. Yesterday, I forget, he brought in the kid to pitch. He struck out Ohtani.
Yeah, it was unreal.
There you go, right? All analytics probably would have said, don't do that. Please don't do that. Abort. But, you got to feel that's all I meant. But there is a place for analytics, of course. It's just storing information. And now, I think that's why you see such the kids like Bedard has a good shot. Well, it's going to be so good because you see that dynamic coming out. Because maybe they have a better breakdown of their body, what they need to do, what they're great at. And I used to only work on things that I really needed to work at, right? I never even thought, I got a good clapper, keep practicing that. It's going to get better. You see a guy like Bedard, right? He's got a great shot, but there's a reason he keeps working on it. I almost said, I was trying to fill in the blanks always of things that I needed to work on, which of course is good. But looking back, there's a reason McDavid's the best skater around. In my day, maybe he wouldn't have been working as much on his skating because it's already good. But now he's going, I want to be the best by far, right? And I'm going to take this attribute and I'm going to make it just off the charts. And there's more of that going on today, I find. And it makes the game much more interesting to watch.
Well, yeah, it was I remember Ryan Smith saying he didn't work on a slap shot because he goes, I don't need, my slap shot is never going to be my forte. I'm going to continue to make it so I'm the one of the best. And there was him and Thomas Holmstrom, and they were heads and shoulders above everybody else on tipping pucks. And he made a living at it, right? Joel Pavelski, smaller player, which shows you don't have to be big, but he worked on it. And it really became something that the whole San Jose Sharks team, when he was there, they all became a better team deflecting pucks because they all spent time after practice. And that's where I got to get to my next point. The Oilers have hired a skills coach. And so they're bringing young guys, working in the U.S. for the last few years, Connor Allen. And Chris Knobloch said they're going to have designated skill practices during the year, TR. And to me, I'm like, this is so overdue. Like, you can only work on a breakout so many damn times, right? Like, you got the breakout drills. Now we're coming up the ice. Okay, 3-on-2, yada, yada. They're going to have specific skill-focused drills. How much of an impact do you think that's going to be beneficial for the Oilers this coming year?
I think it'll make a huge impact. I love the idea. Love, capital L. We were touring with Shorzy last fall, and we went to a Detroit practice, and they were working on skills. And I remember going, man, that would be so refreshing. It wasn't just like, I remember, like, really too. I mean, I won't. When I was in Montreal, again, I'm just relating my own NHL experience, but a lot of practices were exactly the same. Yeah. I used to go like, this is the NHL. What are we doing? Like, it's not so much I don't want to work on it or 3-on-2s are fun. It's just like every day. And I'll use that word again, monotonous. You don't want that. You want it to be fun, just like it is when you're a kid, because then you're going to get the most out of people. That should never stop. When I go and talk to kids this winter, I'm going to say, the most important thing is have fun, but I mean that. And I mean it not only to the house leaguers, to the AAA, to the blue chips, to all of them. Because when that stops, man, and it feels like work, then I'm not saying I would respect my job and do it. It's just you're not going to get the most out of me. You're not going to get the most out of me. And now that's one thing I love the game, that it's changed in that way. And at the end of practice, I heard Struddy talk about it. We'd go out there. There was no rhyme or reason. And yeah, like Struddy working on his one-timers. He probably took 3 all year, but that's what you would do.
Yeah.
I wish I had someone, a great stick handler, helping me out with that. Or I'd just go out and put the pucks down and do what seemed like a drill. I'm not saying the time wouldn't be put in, but it was, we didn't make the most of the time that way for sure. And I think when you look at the direction the game is going, if each team doesn't have a skill coach, so we talked about this with the goalie coach. If these teams if they all don't have those things, then I'm sorry, but someone is doing their job poorly. I think that not only do you need that stuff, you need to be doing it fairly frequently.
Yeah, totally agree. TR, great stuff, buddy. Good to catch up there. We'll talk to you again on Thursday. Enjoy the games tonight.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Edmonton. Thank you, Connor. And we'll see you guys in just a couple of days.
There you go. That's Terry Ryan joins us Tuesday, Thursday, doing a little dad time today, but gave us a segment, which is nice. We got Struddy coming up. We also have Mike Sando, Dave McCarthy, and more. It's the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Connects with Gen Z.
I have 84 followers, as my niece would say. Slay.
No, that's cringe.
How do I get more?
You're a plumber. Make a skibbity toilet joke.
A skibbity what now?
Or make a fashion calendar full of super hot plumbers, plumbers with drip.
Young lady, I'd appreciate it if you'd stop acting so thirsty around my employees.
Burn, Uncle Mr. Rooter.
Slay.
For a plumber who cooks, call Mr. Rooter.
Want some good news? St. Albert Dodge is holding the biggest sale of the year on their in-stock Ram 1500 Sports. Every single one on the lot is discounted by a whopping $14,000. Yeah, 14 grand. And St. Albert Dodge has the best selection in Alberta. Over 90 Ram 1500 Sports to choose from, with great packages, including the Night Edition and GT models, all $14,000 off the ticket price. Get down there and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
The employee pricing event is on now at GMC. Right now, get up to $12,000 off the 2025 Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate. Bring power wherever you go with a 6.2-liter Ecotec V8 engine with dynamic fuel management technology. Bring style to the open road with a signature Denali Vader chrome grille and accents. And keep comfort top of mind with available Super Cruise hands-free driver assistance capability. Employee pricing is on now. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
Edmonton Elks Country Night is back Friday, August 15th against Toronto. Presented by Coconut Cowboy Road, featuring the EE Bull Riding Competition, country music all night long, plus a petting zoo and pony rides for the kids. Tickets start at just $20 at GoElks.com.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique, family-owned, independent liquor store. The selection, Incredible! The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Bringing every project to life requires the right team. By joining the Japa Machinery Group service or sales teams, you can be part of setting a new industry standard. Celebrating a legacy of excellence with Japa. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Some people wake up and get dressed for work in a suit and tie or a nice dress. At GS Construction, we're less fashion forward and more putting our best foot forward. We wear hard hats and steel toe boots, and most importantly, we wear 50 years of experience with pride. It's not glamorous, it's definitely not easy, but it matters. We do it well. So if you'd like to be part of something where your work matters, GS Construction is hiring. Just remember, when you come for an interview, ditch the tie. See more at gsconstruction.ca.
McDonald's Summer Drink Days are here. Get a $2 small fruit splash beverage or a small frappe or smoothie for just $3 each. Summer's booming with McDonald's Summer Drink Days. Excludes additional flavor shots and toppings at participating McDonald's in Canada. Taxes extra. Prices exclude delivery.
Photographers, start your cameras. It's time for Vision Credit Union's annual photo contest. Enter your hometown snapshot and show us what makes your community amazing. Whether it's a view from the farm, a stroll down Main Street, or a weekend at the rodeo, we're looking for snapshots that show off your rural Alberta hometown. Share your photo before September 2nd for a chance to win cash prizes or a donation to your favorite community group. Learn more via Vision's Facebook page or go to whatsyourshare.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. We treat pain and injuries head to toe and some others issues that might surprise you, like incontinence, vertigo, neuropathy, and cognitive issues. We invest in the technology, techniques, skills, and people who know how and what to fix. Life shouldn't hurt. LeadingEdgePhysio.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
328. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, sports1440.ca. So we got you covered. Radio, online, YouTube, video, we name it, we got it. So thanks so much for joining us as it's time to get to Struds On, brought to you by Action Electrical. Building owners, you can earn a refundable federal tax rebate up to 30% off a solar project's capital cost. It's called the ITC. It's a game changer. Learn more, actionelectrical.net.
The Jason Gregor Show presents Struds On.
I don't believe in tea bags. I use loose leaf tea, and it is so much better than the tea bags. I'll eat tea bags. I'll
Struds On.
I'm not a huge DJ guy. I mean, I guess if you hand me a couple glow sticks and a tight white t-shirt that I can get wet, maybe I'd be into it.
Struds On.
There's a lone steakhouse I used to go to down in Kentucky, and they had bowls of peanuts. I wasn't sucking on those ones. You know, I mean, you need to have clean nut. I'm talking about the kind you get in a bag at an Elks game. You know what I mean?
It's time for Struds On.
329, Struddy. Good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you making out, bud?
Hey, buddy. I'm good, man. Well, since we spoke, I know that, of course, your daughter was big into tennis there for a while. Did you happen to watch young Victoria Mboko and her big victory last week?
I sure did, and I play a little tennis myself, not that I'm elite, but what I think I liked about her the most amongst, a pretty awesome serve was how hard she competed. That girl would just not give up. There was times I'm like, gosh, she's done. And she just rallied and battled so hard. I was so impressed by her and her compete level. And I think that goes a long way with anyone in any sport.
Yeah. Oh, no. And it's something it's hard to find that ability to continue to push when lots of things suggest that, like the boulder, you're pushing the boulder uphill and the momentum's coming against you. And she would always battle back against that. That's the hardest thing to do, I think, in sports.
Well, it is. You think about individual sport, it can either be really good because it's just you. You don't have to ask 19 other teammates to turn their game around. It's just you that has to turn your game around. But it's also hard because now it's just you. You know, if you're not playing well, it's only you. You can't lean on anyone else. So her ability to rally, not just in the final, but in other matches as well, was just so impressive. And even the wrist injury and whatever the severity of it was, she could have said, whatever. I came a pretty long ways. She didn't. She kept fighting. What a fighting spirit she has, man. I'd love to see what she can do in the next 2 years.
Oh yeah, there's lots of reason to believe that she's definitely on the way up. It's been a fast climber, and now the hard part is it's like anything. You know, I always say the sporting triangle, and the higher you get to the top, man, it's a lot thinner air up there to get in amongst the greats of the greats.
Well, I think the biggest thing, Greg, is she's not surprising anyone at the U.S. Open, right? What is she ranked now? I think 25 or something.
Yeah.
She, I think maybe some people were caught off guard. And what she beat, I think she beat 4 former champions, Grand Slam champions.
Yep.
So she's not surprising anyone. No, who is this girl? Oh, whatever. Don't worry about it. We'll beat her. Not anymore. They're all going to take her seriously. So that even now comes a little bit hard. And people now will be studying for her, preparing for her. So just all that makes it hard. It doesn't make it impossible, but it does make it harder.
Struddy, we get into, and I asked Terry Ryan this one, and I know that you've worked with lots of the younger athletes, and I just, ran into a few NHL players who obviously didn't go to the Cup final. They've had longer off seasons, and they talk about, hey, what they're skating, they're excited about Perry Pern's camps coming up, but they said like the gym now is just like, right, like it becomes a drain, and I've found over the last few years, especially for Achilles off-season injuries, August seems to be the month where they happen a lot, right? Is it overtraining? Is it you maybe have a lack of focus for a day? Why do you think August, or maybe it was just coincidence for a bit, but why do you think August has more of those, significant training injuries that happen off ice to a lot of NHLers?
Yeah, just at the top of my head, it's maybe fatigue, and I know it's hard to imagine that people only work 2 hours a day get tired, but your body does give out. And I think, when I was training at the highest level, I always had I didn't do it. My trainers had built in 4 or 5 days off, and those would just be recovery days. So maybe go for 3-4 weeks really hard, and then you have a window of 4 or 5 days off. Now those days off I wasn't going down to White Ave and blowing my brains out, or Vegas. Like that is actually a time you might, just eat properly, get sleep, and maybe do some yoga or whatever, stretching, just to make sure you're ready. And I always like that because that would re-energize me for the workouts, but I think it also re-energize my body and let it rest to tackle those times. And I'm sure guys still have that now, but I forget who coined the phrase, but rest is a weapon. I truly believe in that. I think that you can't go 4 or 5 months all out all the time, mentally and or physically. You need to take breaks. And so, I don't know. It may have happened with the injuries, but when you get tired or worn down, you tend to, little breakdowns might happen. And again, I'm not saying that's what happened to Achilles heel, but it can happen. And you want to make sure you're fresh and your body's as fresh and as kind of healed as it can over the end of the summer. So you hit the season, you're good to go.
Struddy, the Edmonton Elks, they got to win. And that's the most important thing at this stage of the season for them. But you know what? As the Elk man, are you concerned about the lack of, like, Cody Fajardo has been hit a lot here in the last 3 weeks. And, he's played very well despite that. But that is something that's going to have to improve here. They're going to have to find a way to reduce the amount of shots he's taken.
Well, it's funny. You and I spoke last week. And I remember we talked about the fact that a win like that, a loss last week, you're like, guys, we're so close. Just keep believing what's going on in the dressing room. And I truly believe that. So now they could have won their last 2 games. I know there's only one win. We're not going to, start a big party, but one is a big start. Now they got a run going here. So you're feeling good about yourself. Now's the time for the coaches, I think, to introduce what you're talking about. Maybe you're a little bit more critical, and it's easier to be critical when the team has a win. Hey, lineman, we got to make sure we're not letting this guy get hit. Here's some examples. Here's a video. Whereas before is maybe more video like, hey, look what we're doing good, guys. Look what's working, because you want to build the guys up. So now you can switch that a little bit and I always found it was easier to take criticism when you're winning than when you're losing. When you're down, you're already being kicked in the junk. I don't need you to kick me in the junk again. But now's the time to get those details of those finer points you've been waiting on. And not that the coach wouldn't mention, but now is the time to really kind of do that. So I wonder if they're not going to be a little bit more aware of it. There's a little more jump in their step because they do have the win. But even from Cody himself, I mean, you can say, guys, like, you got to help me. You got to keep me upright here. I don't want to be conked out after week 12 or 13.
Yeah, well, you just can't. I think it becomes it's too much wear and tear for a quarterback to be continually just getting hammered like that. I don't care who you are. You can be the toughest guy around. You can take a lot of hits, but yeah, eventually it's gonna become too much for them for sure. The Oilers, and I asked this question earlier to DVD, so I'm going to ask you. Assuming that Zach Hyman's the first guy, who are your next three wingers that are going to play the most 5-on-5 minutes with McDavid and or Draisaitl?
Jeez. That's a really good question for the middle of August. Are we assuming Nugent Hopkins is a center or a winger?
No, that's the fun part of this. You can choose, like, wow, I think he's going to play center. I think he's going to play wing. And if he wings, then I think he's going to be, but maybe he's a left winger on the third line. I don't know. So that's what's kind of fun about it. Like, obviously, injuries are the one thing we can't predict, but assuming everybody's healthy, let's assume everybody's healthy.
So I'm going to put Nuge at center. Okay. I'm sorry. My bad. I'm putting him at the wing. I want Trent Frederick to play center. I want a big body in the middle. The big bodies, when they're playing center, they have to skate more and get him more engaged. And I think the Trent Frederick we're going to see in the fall is going to be different than what we saw in this past playoff run. So I want him at the third line center. I want to give him a chance at that spot. So that means I have Nuge, obviously Nuge and Hyman. I guess Podkolzin's the other one. I think Podkolzin's going to have worked on his hands and his timing, and he's not going to go to a 50-goal scorer, but I could see him getting 20 goals on a wing with there. Then after that, it's a wild card. I mean, then I think it becomes a little bit heavier lifting in that. So I guess I'd go with. God, that's a tough one. I guess I'll go with old Isaac Howard, buddy. I'm going to give him a chance up there. What are you for?
Ike Howard. Well, I've got Mangiapane. I've got Mangiapane and Hyman as my two for sure. Nuge is my I'm not sure where you're I agree with your theory that, you know what, I'd rather not have him, but I think Nuge as a third line center is really good, and I would rather have Adam Henrique as a winger over Nugent Hopkins, because I think Adam Henrique's a little bit better on the boards, but I think him and Nuge will be on my third line. So I'm going to have Hyman. I'm going to have Mangiapane. I'm going to have Frederick and Savoy. I'm not sold yet that Ike Howard's going to be here all year long. And that's only because I'm always hesitant on young players, right? You know me, you are. If he overexceeds, that's awesome. I have no problem with it, but I find people want to get Ike Howard, man, look at him in college. And then if Ike Howard 20 games in isn't playing great, well, he's a bust. I'd rather go the other way, be like, hey, man, NHL is really damn hard. And if Ike Howard comes here and has to get a little bit of time in the American League, I'm okay with that. So I think total minutes, I'm going to go with Mangiapane, Hyman, Frederick, and Savoy.
Yeah, I love, and you know what? I can't believe I forgot Mangiapane. I wanted to put him on the Olympic team a few years ago. So that is really, I'm obviously in summer mode. So yeah, I've got Hyman, Mangiapane, and Nuge. And then after that, you're right. It's a complete wild card. Savoy, I mean, if let's say he's fourth on whoever was above him, Greg.
Yeah.
That's an unreal outcome for the Oilers. Unreal. I still think Podkolzin gets some time there, because I do think he could score, right? He can find a way to, he has scored. He has some skill. And I think he can find that. So there's going to be a dogfight there. And, just a note on Frederick, like, the price tag he's at, that's not a fourth line center, I don't think. I think they have visions of him being in the top 9. Yes. I think he's going to be in the top 9. Now, winger, center, I'm not sure. The Oilers have a lot of options to play at center. Henrique's another guy. I know it's a 1 year left, and I think they're going to want to try to get Trent some minutes at that center position, so he can be the center when either Henrique's not there or Nuge is put on the wing. So that's an interesting storyline for me. Then also you got to look at, maybe there's, does Savoy beside Frederick make sense? Just as far as a big body, a smaller guy, then maybe another smaller guy on the other side. Does that make sense? Or, we don't really know all the duos or trios they're going to try to put together, and that does affect who's at center at different times of the year.
Well, yeah, and I think and then the other wild card here is like, I'm so intrigued to see how David Tomasek does for the Oilers. Like I know people like, oh, he's 29. He was in Europe. And I think some people look at that and say, oh, that means he was never, Derek Ryan didn't come to the NHL till he was 29. And I think David Thomas and Derek Ryan never led the EuroLeague in goals or points like Tomasek has done the last 2 seasons. Like I look at David Tomasek. He's a first-year player. So is Savoy and so is Ike Howard. And he's got way more experience. He's got way more strength. And he's really good defensively. And I think that's like Podkolzin got to stay in the top 6 all year because he outscored the opposition when he was on the ice. Now, he wasn't the driver offensively of a lot of points or goals, but he got the puck to Draisaitl, and then he didn't get scored on, right? He didn't make many mistakes offensively. And that's Tomasek to me, I think his offense is I want to see him get a look, at least at times, with Draisaitl and McDavid. But if he's on your third line with Henrique and Nugent Hopkins, I have no problem with that line either.
He's a massive wild card, and I think this is a great flyer for the team to take, because if it works out, it's great. If not, there's nothing lost, right?
No.
You got to come over. The European free agents are complete wild cards, just massive, complete, utter wild cards. And I've watched a bit of YouTube on him, trying to see, he can definitely score and make things happen. But I think he's a pretty smart player. And, it feels like this management group really values that smart player. They want smart players in there. Mm-hmm. And that's not to suggest that others weren't before that. But I think this is whatever, if he can come in and play, if he can be a top 9 forward, and Savoy's fighting for that. You've got Howard fighting for that. You have other guys, Podkolzin fighting for that. Now you got a lot going on, and that might completely change what might be required at the trade deadline. But I think I'm going to be not cool on him, but I'm going to reserve judgment and putting any expectations on him until we get to see him with our eyes in action against NHL players, and specifically NHL D-men, because the ice in Europe is massive. There's way more space and time. And you can get away from people, outside the dots there's so much space. You can get away from people, skate over there and get away from the guys, reset. In the NHL, there's no getting away. No one's letting you go and hide. And I'm not suggesting he's scared or anything, but that's just how the game's played. You get outside the dots, you find ice time.
Oh God. Yeah. Like he's a complete, like the scouting reports, because I've never seen him play live, Struds, not once. So I watched some highlights like you did, but I talked to scouts in Europe about him. And it's funny, like the range of opinions on, because I said, like, what do you think he can do as an NHLer? And most believe he at worst can be a third line player for you who's reliable defensively. And they're kind of torn. I had 2 scouts tell me they think he's got really good offensive instincts to be an NHL player. Others are like, I'm not sure he can score over here. So, these are guys who that's their job. And even them, you can't get a consensus on what he's going to be offensively or defensively. But he, to me, is as much of the focus is on Howard and Savoy. And I understand they're young guys, they're draft both first rounders, and that's all great. But, you got a 29-year-old who's played against Ben, and you played in Europe, Strud. I think you can attest to it. Like, the drop-off isn't nearly as significant as people think. And you're the best player in the Swedish Elite League. I think you'd be dominating the American League.
Oh yeah, no. I think that's a for sure you would. I mean, that Swedish League, they're pros, and not that the American League aren't, but they're really good. They're older, and also there's some Swedish guys that they came over and try North America, didn't like, so they go back. So they play there for 10, 12 years, and it's good hockey. Like it's really, really good hockey. Now that super top end isn't the same. That's like, you don't have those elite players that are playing in North America in the NHL. But that underbelly is still strong. They're well coached. They're organized. I would say it's maybe the second best league in the world, right? I think above Germany. The Russian league is, it's kind of all over the place, but Sweden, and then I think, you got Switzerland down there. Finland's another league that they're very professional and organized. So you're getting a professional pro that's organized, that knows how to be a professional. And I think it'll be interesting what he can bring. And I think for him, he's got to come in and go for it. Like my suggestion, don't kind of, just tap your toe in the water. Go in there and just go for it. Try to be, and especially early, because you're going to be playing against other players like you. They're young or maybe borderline NHLers. So go in and really get yourself feeling good right away. I'd like to see him get to play, get a chance. Don't put him with Jim Nugget from this played like a seventh center, put him with Nuge or put him with Leon or put him with Henrique, put him with someone real so they can see what it's like to play with NHL players, like 2 NHL players. So you give them, whether it's whatever that third line, let's say that third line is whatever, Frederick and Henrique and Thomas. Let's get them in there, let them play, let them really feel and see what it's like to be with these guys.
Yeah, well, I'm with you, and I'm fascinated to see kind of what type of player potentially he can be.
And I think everyone should be.
Yeah.
Everyone should be excited because these, from now on, for the foreseeable future, the Oilers are going to have to find guys that are kind of been lost in the shuffle because they don't have a lot of draft picks. They have to find guys that can fill in these roles on decent deals that are excited to have some upside. And I think he checks all those boxes.
Yeah, it totally does. Struddy, great convo, buddy. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good one.
And I appreciate your picture at Canmore, buddy. That's a beautiful place.
Oh.
But I noticed you're not in any of them. I was looking for you, your smiling face. What happened? Those get shown on that cutting room floor?
Oh, buddy, you know what? Hey, you can't have too much beauty in one photo. So you just
sexy.
Right? Just try to keep it down. And we did the Goat Creek Trail with my son. 48 kilometer round trip, and he went through the Goat Creek Trail, the mountain park. I don't know if you ever done that ride from Canmore to Banff, and it's about 18 and a half kilometers up and down. And the last 10K, he didn't want to stop. He just went rolling through. So it was proud dad moment to see him. And now I actually got to move to keep up to him on the downhill. So it's fun. So loving it.
That's a lot of fun. It's a great space there.
Oh,
looks
man.
like a fun trip.
Yeah, and I never the Grassy Lakes hike. I've never gone all the way to the top, like over the, you get to the lake, but then you keep going up and it goes all the way to a new road. And buddy, that's a really good little challenging hike the last 400 or 500 meters. So I recommend it to anybody who's done the Grassy Lakes. They finished it now all the way above, or at least first time I'd ever seen it with steps and everything. And it's pretty intense last part. So it's a good little hike.
Good for your buns, but I noticed you got to just tighten those things up a bit. So keep it up.
Oh, buddy, it's bouncing quarters off them right now. It's fantastic. Have a good one. We'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you later, buddy.
It's Jason Strudwick from the Got Your Back podcast. Of course, former NHLer joins us every Tuesday. We'll take a quick break. We got a lot of texts to get to, 833-401-1440. So my question for you, your 3 wingers, we all assume Hyman's number 1. Okay, I think that's going to be consensus. Everybody would have Hyman. But is Nuge a center for you? Is he a winger? Who do you think at the end of the regular season are going to be the 3 wingers who play the most minutes 5-on-5 with McDavid / Draisaitl? Because you might switch up and down. Hyman did play 60 minutes with with Draisaitl without McDavid last year. It's not a lot, but it adds to his total. And then he, of course, played some with both of them. I think he played about 250 minutes last year, Hyman, Draisaitl, McDavid as a line. And then he played almost 500 minutes solely with McDavid. So he was obviously the most. Then you had Pod Coles. Then you had also Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. And the fourth was Victor Arvidsson. So and Victor Arvidsson's not here anymore. Maybe it's Nuge. Or is there opening? Is he a center? Is he going to play down a lineup? What do you think? So 833-401-1440, your 3 wingers after Hyman who will fill out the most minutes 5-on-5 with McDavid and Draisaitl. 833-401-1440. You can text us in our email inbox. It's the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The sun is shining, the weather's warm, and some of Edmonton's favorite sports are back in season. If you're looking for the cherry on top of a perfect summer day, check out Play Alberta to experience casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Download the Play Alberta app today and deposit $20 or more with promo code SUMMER to claim a $100 casino bonus. That's promo code SUMMER for a $100 casino bonus on us. Redeemable once per Play Alberta account. Remember, if you gamble, please use your game sense.
This is Nuge's Nuggets, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. What nugget of cooling advice does Nuge have today?
An air conditioner works by blowing air across the cold evaporator coil where the heat is absorbed into the refrigerant. I actually don't know what that means. Kind of like Zach Hyman with goaltender interference. Sorry, Zach. Well, you got me there.
Get no payments and no interest for 1 year on your new AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling. Proud sponsor of Nuge's Nuggets.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Reports suggest that Canadian taste buds are bored to tears.
My mouth can't handle another dull drink.
Summertime smoothie experts everywhere are recommending a watermelon wake-up from Booster Juice.
It's so smooth, cool, and refreshing.
And ridiculously delicious. Enjoy the Watermelon Wave and Watermelon Explosion smoothies, available all summer long at a Booster Juice near you. Stay cool, Canada.
Booster Juice, Canadian born, blending since 1999.
Ford employee pricing is on now, and you pay what we pay on the Ford you want. Visit your Alberta Ford store or Ford.ca today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in project, service, tag, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
For 352, welcome back, Gregor, Halley, Declan Kruger, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. We got a lot of texts flying in on our question today. Also, looking forward coming up at the top of the hour. Mike Sando, of course, a longtime national writer for the NFL. We're going to talk about their recent article on the tiering of quarterbacks and who you have at the top in tier 1. Into tier 2. There's an interesting one for me who's still in tier 1, and then the tier 2 quarterbacks. Tier 3, all the way down to obviously tier 3 has 25 of them, and then you get into to tier 4s, which has the remaining 32, 33, and then there's some who are like backups, and away they go. Still, we'll get to all of that coming up with Mike Sando in the next hour. Hey, guys, it's got to be Matt Savoy. He's not here to play bottom 6 minutes from Mighty Cobra. That's only one of them. I said, who are the 3? Right? We need 3 of them. Hey, guys, I've always thought Nude should be a 3C. Some reduced ice time isn't a bad idea. He's not a kid anymore. It just looks like one from Bruceter. And there is that factor right now. But here's the thing about Nuge playing 3C, it is, he's on the penalty kill, he's on the power play, so there might be a little bit of reduced minutes 5-on-5, but it's actually harder minutes when you're playing center than you are playing wing. And I know Trent Frederick's the one who said he wants to play center, but I was looking like he really hasn't played much center at the NHL time. I talked to guys in Boston, and he didn't play center very much. A little bit, yes. I understand that he wants to do it. There's lots of guys who want to do it, but I'm not. Like, it's hard. Like, if you're going to play him as your third line center, like in theory, you'd say, hey, maybe this guy could be like Jack McBain or Adam Lowry. Big body, skates well, is good skater, physical. So there's lots of theories there to make it. And so if he's your third line center, then Nuge is a winger for sure. And then he's probably then going to be in your top 6. But then where's Adam Henrique playing? Is he your fourth line center? Is he in your top 9? Like, the orders, it's funny. There's lots of people who thought, they've downgraded, and I'm not sure they're better. So let's look at who's gone. Arvidsson, Perry, Skinner, Connor Brown, Derek Ryan. Right? Those are the 5 veteran forwards. In place of them, now Evander Kane too, but Evander Kane, I'm only talking regular season, and Kane didn't play in the regular season last year, so I'm not even really including him. But then if you look at who replaced him? Well, Trent Frederick played a grand total of 7 minutes in the regular season. So he's a new body. Savoy's new. Ike Howard's new. Mangiapane, Tomasek. So if you go Tomasek, Howard, Mangiapane, Savoy, and Frederick, Arvidsson, Skinner, Perry, Brown, Derek Ryan. The 5 newcomers, there's no doubt they're younger and they're faster. But they're not as proven, right, as far as finishers. But as a group, they're quicker and they're younger. So what does that mean? I don't know. But it's kind of fascinating to see, well, then there's those 5, plus you've got Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, McDavid, Podkolzin, Draisaitl, Henrique. That's 11 forwards. So 2 of them, and I didn't even mention Janmark. So there's 2 of them that aren't even in your top 9. So, like, the Oilers got good competition. And I think that some people maybe have overlooked how much competition it is for the top 9. Now, is there some that's unproven in Savoy, Howard, and Tomasek? Yes, for sure. But it's high-end guys. And Matt Savoy, if you look at the trend of a player who scored at the level that he did at the American League as a young player, like Matt Savoy, I would have coming into camp, he's ahead of Ike Howard for me. Now, I know it's a righty-lefty, so there is a difference there, right? Matt Savoy shoots right. And I know people say, hey, is he going to play center? He ain't playing center. Right? He's a winger, and he played a lot of wing last year. He had 54 goals in 66 points. He's one of the, top 5 rookies in the NHL. In the AHL, and he's one of the youngest. Like, to score that many points in a tough American League, and by the way, on a team that wasn't blessed with an abundance of offensive talent, right? Because if you look at the guys he was supposed to play with, you had, Drake Caggiula, okay, James Hamblin missed 15, 16 games. Lane Peterson, Lane Peterson, I don't even think he played 20 games last year. He was supposed to be the main center. So I think Matt Savoy, he got to play the penalty kill. We've already heard his name by head coach Chris Knobloch as a guy they'd like to use on the penalty kill, which to me is good. That doesn't mean he can't play in the second unit power play, but he's going to get minutes on the penalty kill. And that allows him to stay in the game more. I think that's a huge thing. Because if Ike Howard, he's not going to penalty kill. He's not on your first unit power play. He might get a little bit of time. I think it's actually going to be harder. Like, I'm not sold yet that Ike Howard is a lock for me. Hey, guys, Mangiapane, Howard, Savoy, Hyman. Realistically, it's Frederick, Savoy, Hyman, and Mangiapane. Yeah, probably. Like, to have both Howard and Howard and Savoy in your top 6 all year would mean they're playing great. Let's just say that. So that part's good. But I think it's to knock off all those veterans who, and by the way, like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, pretty proven NHL player, right? Trent Frederick, proven NHL player. Mangiapane, proven NHL player, right? Adam Henrique's getting older, but like I'm not sold yet to just run Henrique out of town. I could be wrong on him, right? But I'm not sold he's done just yet. We'll see. That's what makes it intriguing regular season. But the Oilers got, because somebody's going to get hurt, sadly. But the Oilers have a lot of options for their top 9. Right? And David Tomasek, do not sleep on David Tomasek. I'm not sure he'll be in the top 6, but I think it could be a really good addition to the top 9. Let's get to the con man and a sports 1440 update brought to you by 01 Hockeyology. You're looking to just fine-tune and get your kid ready before the season begins? They got unbelievable drills, shooting, skating, hockey IQ. Sign up, 01.ca.
This is a sports 1440 update.
Game day in the city. Riverhawks hosting the Bells in the North Final. This one gets going 7:05 down at Remax Field at the Major League level. Jays kicking off a series against the Cubs in Toronto. First pitch at 5:07 at the Hunter Gretzky Cup in Czechia. Canada crushing switch with a 9-1 this morning. They'll meet the host Czechs tomorrow at noon, who fell to the Finns 4-1. And in the WNBA, got the Fever hosting the Wings at 5:30. Then at 8, it's the Liberty in LA taking on the Sparks. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll talk some NFL with Mike Sando of The Athletic. We'll hear from Dave McCarthy of SiriusXM NHL and ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440.
Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada with sports and entertainment properties, including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League's Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
New crust alert at Papa John's. Your favorite cheese meets your favorite pizza in the new cheddar crust pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's pizza makers created the perfect addition to their crust by melting garlic and herb seasoned cheddar cheese right on top of their fresh original dough that's made with 6 simple ingredients. Try a one-topping cheddar crust pizza today for only $17.99. You better hurry though, because it's only for a limited time. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, proudly locally owned and operated.
At On the Rocks, the party never stops. Check it out. Mondays, bingo tunes.
Tuesdays, tacos and tequila.
Wednesdays, it's wings and karaoke.
Shake what your mama gave ya with salsa lessons on Thursdays and the best Latin DJs.
Plus, live music every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, along with DJ Kenny K.
Hold on, let's not forget $5 happy hour, 7 days a week.
Your bar, your party. You're On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave and 118th.
If you're an experienced RV salesperson, you have to be concerned about the state of the industry right now. With so much uncertainty, companies are downsizing their sales teams, especially at new RV stores. Right, Rick?
That's right, Bob. Nobody knows what the future holds. But here at Noble RV, we're hiring. And we're looking for a very particular kind of RV salesperson. Of course, experience with used RVs is always an asset here.
This role requires a good sense of what the used RV owner needs, how to help them solve problems, and enjoy more of the great outdoors.
You got it, Bob. It's technically a sales position, but with none of the rat race you deal with now. You'd be more of a problem solver, helping RV owners with their ongoing experience. Someone with a few miles on the odometer is the ideal candidate. If you're ready for an exciting new career at Alberta's biggest used RV store, come find me, because there's a future for you here with us.
And that's Noble.
NobleRV.ca.
There's something we need to talk about: debt. It's an uncomfortable topic, but the truth is, most of us carry some form of debt, and we are ashamed to talk about it. My name is Parveen Middleton, a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton. Every day, people struggling with debt come to me for a solution. When you make that call, I'll listen to your story without judgment and will lead you to a debt-free future. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to learn more.
Can't touch this.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. It's Terrific Tuesday. Get 40% off any regular price pizza when you use the code word 40Tuesday at the start of each pizza order at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching the show. As always, as it's time, and of course, it's presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Reminder, get in the game tonight. Lotto Max, $65 million up for grabs. Get your tickets, PlayAlberta.ca. As we get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by Silent Rides Charter Company, one of Alberta's premier bus charter company with state-of-the-art motor coaches that will safely take you or your group to your next destination. Book your ride at silentrides.ca. And very special guest joining us as we are inching closer to another NFL season. Longtime national writer for the NFL, currently writes at The Athletic. Mike Sando joins us now. Mike, welcome to the show, my man. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. You guys came up with tiering quarterbacks, which when you start this process, because I've done it for different ones, you're always like, oh, this is going to be great. And then all of a sudden you get into it and you're like, geez, I got this guy here. I think he could be at number 1. Maybe he can be in the number 2 tier. I want to start with, who was the hardest quarterback for you to place in a tier?
Well, I didn't place him in the tiers, so I had the 50 coaches and executives do it for me. That's kind of what separates the project. I had 6 general managers, 6 assistant GMs, 6 former GMs. I think I had 8 head coaches, 15 coordinators, a really diverse group. And I think the guy they struggled with the most was Jalen Hurts.
Okay, yes.
Because he's had great team success. He's obviously won the Super Bowl. He was Super Bowl MVP. But he's like tied for 9th in this thing, and he's in the 2nd tier. And I don't think anybody thinks he should be in the 1st tier. But he's won more than some of the guys that are ahead of him, and he's done well in some big moments too. So I think that was some of the voters were almost like apologizing for having him that low. They like him. They just don't think he's as dynamic as some of those guys ahead of him.
And I'm looking at the players who had the biggest positive changes from your last year's ranking. Sam Darnold went up +9. Baker Mayfield +8. He's now 11th. Bryce Young, who finished, he went up only to 24th, but I thought he showed some signs there at the end. And then Goff, Hurts, and Murray were all +2s. But you look at Sam Darnold and the situation he's in or was in to now the situation he's in Seattle. When you talk to these managers and how much of that factors into it? Because he had success here, but now he's in a totally different team and a totally different system.
Yeah, no, I think that that does play into it. Now, he is going to a system that he knows extremely well because his current coordinator in Seattle was his coach in San Francisco, Clint Kubiak. So I think, the question will really be, does he have the weaponry now in Seattle that he had in Minnesota? And what difference is it going to make to him to not have Justin Jefferson, right? Player of that caliber. Seattle traded away one of its most talented receivers in DK Metcalf. Seattle, released Tyler Lockett, who's a longtime productive player for them. They have Jackson Smith and Jigba. They're going to lean more into the run game. I think the plan is to take some pressure off of Sam Darnold with, a stronger running game than they've had in the past. But it's a little bit of a risk. Seattle won 10 games last year. Geno Smith, who they had, is more of a known quantity. I think there's variability with Darnold. He could be good, but he's also been bad, and not that long ago. And he was bad at the end of last season, which scared some people that I talked to in this.
Yeah. And that, because it's natural, recency bias, what we see lately, and you look at the postseason and then you wonder about Sam Darnold and if that factors in. The one that I found interesting to me was, and I don't want to start at the bottom and work my way up, but I did find it how you only had one quarterback in tier 5, and that was Kenny Pickett from the Browns. Yeah. And so what is it? So he's the only guy in tier, by the way, people, tier 5 is the lowest tier, right? They had tier 1 all the way down to tier 5. And what is it about Kenny Pickett that causes all the concern for these guys?
Well, in fairness to Pickett, he's only being included in here because the Browns have interesting, to say the least, quarterback situation. They're listing 4 quarterbacks. Right. And 2 of them are rookies. We don't have rookies in this survey. So we decided, you know what? Let's include Pickett in it along with Joe Flacco, just in case he winds up being the starter. And, he's being measured against guys that are real starters, right? So it's not that Kenny Pickett is absolutely horrible. He's just not seen as good compared to the starting quarterbacks in the league. But I personally think that he can be better than he's been. I think Pittsburgh was not a good situation for a quarterback when they had Matt Canada as their offensive coordinator. No offense to Canada in this case, since I'm doing the show with you. But I think that was a tough situation. Yeah. Matt Canada's not coaching now anymore. And I think Kenny Pickett has some talent and was one of those guys who could have done better in a better situation. Is Cleveland that? I don't know. But at this stage of his career, basically tier 5 means we don't think you're a starting quarterback. It's the lowest designation you can get, and he's the only guy in this who got enough of those to be in tier 5.
Mike Sando joins us. We're talking about his article on The Athletic, tiering all the NFL quarterbacks. He interviewed and got the opinions of 50 NFL coaches, executives, having the tier ones. And your quarterbacks in tier 1, Pat Mahomes is still, him and Joe Burrow were tied. Then you had Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, still in the in there. He actually jumped up one tier from last year. Is that a respect factor? Like, where do you come in personally on Matt Stafford?
Well, I think Matt Stafford's placed fine. I mean, he may be a tick high at this stage of his career. He's always been kind of at the very top of tier 2. So in this case, I think he got 5 more tier 1 votes than he got last year. And it was enough to just kind of nudge him across the border into tier 1. I don't think people are seeing him fundamentally differently than they have in the past, but he is respected. And I think late last season when he had them, close to beating the Eagles in the playoffs, I think that went a long ways with people. Now, since then, this summer, he's had back issues. And so those have arisen after I've done this poll. I think if we knew to the extent that the back was bothering him, he might be, maybe people would have taken that into account and downgraded him a little bit more. But he is really highly regarded as kind of a dying breed in the NFL, of somebody who really is difficult to fool because he's seen everything and can really dominate from the pocket.
Yes. And it's a skill that's incredibly hard to learn and then master. The one guy, of course, you don't have rookies. So Jaden Daniels wasn't allowed to be in your tier last year, and he's already up to tier 2. He's in number 6. There's always some people who think, was there any, doesn't sound like the fact that you have number 6. A lot of these people didn't see any reason for the quote, sophomore slump for Jaden Daniels.
Agreed. I mean, I think that they saw, look, he played tier 1 football last year, but I think he didn't make tier 1 because people want to see a little bit of it again. And he got 17 votes in the top tier, 31 in the second tier. So super optimistic, but I do think that those, I don't think CJ Stroud's a cautionary tale. It's not like he's terrible, but he slipped back. And so this is the highest that any second year player has debuted in the quarterback tier since I've been doing this. This is my 12th year of doing it. Wow. Now, Daniels broke the record that Stroud set last year. Stroud broke Justin Herbert's record that was set in 2021. Now, Herbert has kind of just hung around there. He's still in that same area. He hasn't gone into tier 1. Stroud slipped back a little bit. And so we'll see with Daniels. I think for the second year, you're going to have, defensive coordinators that have spent some real time on him and have a much better handle on what he's doing. So you would think that defenses would be a little bit better prepared for what Washington's doing, and it could make it a little harder.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Justin Herbert because my producer, Connor Halley, is a huge Chargers fan. And, Herbert, he went down slightly in his vote average, not by much, but he stays in the same tier. And he seems like people look and they're kind of like, God, you see a lot of things that at times, Mike, you maybe feel like leaves you wanting more. Yeah. Is that impression from him?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's been an absence of some team success. They haven't made a deep push in the playoffs. They suffered a terrible loss in the playoffs to Jacksonville a couple of years ago when they were way ahead. I think by 27 points, lost the game. So he's so talented. People can see that. Everybody would like to have him on their team unless you have one of those, unless you have Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, or Joe Burrow. You basically, maybe Jaden Daniels, you'd basically take Justin Herbert. Most of the league would. But why hasn't he been able to kind of push them a little bit farther, get over the top? Is there something missing, with him? And I think now that he's with this Jim Harbaugh, running game offense, who knows how much he's even going to be asked to make the types of, throws frequently enough to be a volume passer to really be perceived as the top tier. That said, I think he's really good. I think they can win with him. They have had good seasons with him, but he's got to do a little bit more when it matters most in the playoffs.
Do you think in today's NFL, you can win with what a lot of people are thinking is going to happen in with the Chargers and be that much focused on the run? Do you think ultimately you can win that way today?
Well, I mean, the Eagles last year were a super heavy running team and won the Super Bowl. So, I think you can. I think that you can if you have a good quarterback. I think you still have to have a good quarterback. And then I think you can have a running team. And then the quarterback still has to be able to make some plays when needed. I think Jalen Hurts did that last year. He had a very good Super Bowl to help them win the game. Yet they were definitely predicated on the run, and people, when they played the Eagles, were worried about the running game first. So I do think that yes, you can get over the top doing that.
When you look at a guy like Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, and he's right up at the top, and then you look at the Bengals defense and all the struggles that they had, there's a quarterback who right now, like I look at Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, and you say, hey, like these guys got a better defense. Like, is Joe Burrow going to have to be all world for the Bengals this year for them to really compete?
Probably. I mean, I don't know how much better their defense is going to get. Now, I will give Lamar Jackson credit last year because his defense and special teams with the kicking problems they had was not good for, I would say, the first half of the year at least. And he was winning, in fact, beat Joe Burrow's team in a shootout. So I give Lamar Jackson some credit for being able to win those games a little bit more frequently. I will say this, though. He has Derrick Henry, which helps you control the game. And I think Joe Burrow is a little bit, they don't have a Derrick Henry and they don't have a defense. So, yes, more of it is on him. He's got the great wideouts, but I think he also has a head coach who loves to throw the ball. Their DNA is throwing the ball, and that's different from what it is for, I think, the head coaches of Buffalo or certainly Baltimore. So, I think there's more asked of him, and he showed he can have him in the mix, but you need a little bit of help.
The tier that intrigued me the most, because I think it has potential for guys to, play very well and maybe be better than what their tiering number is tier 3, right? You got Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith, Bo Nix, Sam Darnold, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, and Kirk Cousins. Obviously, it's got the most guys in it, but I'll kind of go through those numbers, and let's start with a guy like Trevor Lawrence. Like, it's interesting to me when I look at other young quarterbacks, he seems to be the one who never really gets a lot of criticism, even though he hasn't done very much.
Well, that's Jacksonville. That's a different market than New York, where they chew you up and you're in the headlines every day. It's kind of one of the reasons that Cam Ward going to Tennessee, a little bit out of the spotlight, I think could actually help him possibly have a little bit of a longer runway. What I see at the top of tier 3, near the top, is Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, all guys who were drafted high by their current teams and paid as if they were tier 2 or even tier 1. And we're still waiting on the results. Trevor Lawrence, I think what stood out to me in this, talking to people in the league, was there's not really a special trait that he has, like super special trait. If you look at Tua, it's his accuracy. When he is on rhythm, he's as accurate as any quarterback in the league. Kyler Murray, it's his mobility. His ability to make plays on the run, can drive a defense crazy. Trevor Lawrence, just, he's pretty athletic, but he's not super dynamically athletic. He can throw the ball, but he's not, his accuracy is inconsistent. So what is going to be the trait that elevates him? And I'm not sure what it is.
That's a fantastic point. What about Bo Nix and how he ended the season in Denver, and maybe what the expectations are, and when you look at some of the weapons they have potentially this year in Denver with him?
Yeah, I think the feedback on Bo Nix was super optimistic. It's hard, to debut too much higher. Now Jaden Daniels did it, but it's rare. So I think him being a 3, he's exactly a 3.0 average vote, is not a negative. I think people really liked what he did and think that he's in good hands with Sean Payton. Now, unlike Jaden Daniels, he had a good defense. So that's going to help him win. I think you just want to see more of Bo Nix.
Like he came on, and it's hard, and I'm sure you've done this, Mike, for so long, that like the last month, 6 weeks of a season, where in some cases there's not a lot to go for. Now the Broncos, we're a somewhat competitive team, but for young quarterbacks, do you take a lot into the final 6 weeks of a previous year and say, okay, wow, this was just a sign they've really matured? Or is it like, well, maybe teams are giving them, more opportunity to succeed. So how do you evaluate it?
I think the latter does come into play. You don't want to get too excited about games that aren't meaningless, but you also just have to go with what you see. Like I think Michael Penix only played 3 games late last year. They were pretty good. Or Bryce Young, late in the year showed a lot. I think that can still be encouraging. You just have to know that, hey, we can't take that to the bank because of the situation that they were in. But you'd certainly rather have that than those guys playing bad down the stretch when it was not meaningful, or the teams might make changes.
What was it about JJ McCarthy where, obviously got hurt last year, didn't play. And there's other young guys that, don't have a whole bunch more experience. Now, JJ McCarthy, it's interesting because rookies don't qualify, even though he didn't play. So to me, in theory, he's a rookie, but I know by the standard he isn't. He's kind of funny. But what was the feedback from all of these coaches and executives when it came to McCarthy and the expectation?
So, he got all 50 votes in Tier 4, which is Tier 4 is, hey, you're a veteran player. We've seen a lot of you, and we don't think you can play a whole season, or you're so new that we don't really have an opinion yet. And that's what it is for JJ McCarthy. I think it went like this for him. Like some things about him, think he's in a good situation. You can see how he could succeed in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell. You have some concerns about his durability, his frame, his sturdiness. And then, comes some kind of unspoken concerns. I think one of the coaches quoted in the piece said something along the lines of, you don't hear all slam dunk stuff out of there. And there was some potential, wavering, or at least protecting their interests when they were interested in Aaron Rodgers, and just a little bit of a feel there that, hey, is everything on schedule, on course? It seems to be now. And so I think it'll be very good to just get to see him play this season to make some firmer judgments.
And lastly, after you talked to all these guys and you, when you, was there anything that you came away with that had changed your personal opinion on any of these quarterbacks?
Well, I think some of the feedback on Caleb Williams was a little more negative than I was anticipating in terms of consistent feedback about, his ability to process the game quickly. I think that was something that really stood out as a potential red flag or concern on a player who was the unanimous number 1 pick in the draft just in 2024. Okay,
so there's a little bit of still we need to see more from him, and who knows if he'll ever be capable of seeing more or not. After all said and done, Mike, if I had to tell you right now today, and you look, and assuming health, because obviously health is the biggest wild card that's unpredictable for anybody, which team do you see having the biggest improvement in the NFL this year? And is there one team that you like best to go to the Super Bowl? Not win, just make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think the Raiders can improve a lot because they're going from Aiden O'Connell to Geno Smith, and they're going from Antonio. Am I drawing a blank? Pierce. Maybe that's my point. No disrespect to Antonio Pierce, but Pete Carroll's a 50-year coach. So I think that's the ability to really improve. I think if you're going to pick someone for the Super Bowl, you got to probably stay away from the AFC. Kansas City's been a safe choice, but there's so many good teams in that conference. I still may do it. I still may just until somebody beats the Chiefs, you may have to stick with them. I just think it's going to be a little bit more open on that side of the conference.
And I get that with the Chiefs, that leads me to the guy who was tied for number 1. But people who look and play fantasy, they're like, oh, how can Patrick Mahomes be your number 1 quarterback? And look at his numbers in fantasy. It shows you the difference in how these people who watch the game and they live it, they just look and say Patrick Mahomes is still tied with Joe Burrow as the number 1 quarterback in the league.
Yeah, and I think they would say Mahomes is number 1. They both had 50 out of 50 in Tier 1, but I think the edge goes to Mahomes until proven otherwise. As someone said, he's kind of in the Brady seat right now that Tom Brady used to have. He's got the combination of everything, and until he stops winning or does, the team flounders a little bit, he's the guy. He's the standard.
Yeah, well, and that's a pretty good standard to have. He's had lots of success. He's pretty much been a guy who makes it to the Super Bowl or not. So awesome stuff, Mike. It's a fantastic article. I recommend anyone checking it out at The Athletic. Really in depth on all the quarterbacks in that are starters right now. And you get some interesting quotes, and you can see kind of how they rank and where they've dropped and who's improved. And then we'll see kind of what happens. Now, I'm curious, when you look at these rankings from year to year, and you've mentioned you've done it for many years, has there been ones that at the end of the year, it looks a lot different than how, or is it more so, what the tiers were? That's kind of how it played out on the field.
Oh, I think there's been guys who bounced around, people that they thought that were going to be higher and then had a bad year. And I don't have that, off the top of my head. In fact, I've got to do another one here in 1 minute, so I'm going to have to roll out.
Yeah.
But yes, I think it's accurate, but you'll definitely see some guys move around. A lot of times it's the young guys that you haven't seen as much. So
awesome stuff, Mike. So we really appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you.
That's Mike Sando from covers the NFL for The Athletic. And the QB tiers, if you missed it, in tier 1, they had Burrow and Mahomes. And now these are not Mike's, right? And it's just there's 50 voters, and their current NFL head coaches, executives, etc. Right? So they had Mahomes, Burrow tied for number 1, then Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford. They're all in tier 1. Tier 2 was Jaden Daniels 6th, Justin Herbert 7th, Jared Goff 8th, CJ Stroud 9th, Jalen Hurts and Stroud were actually tied for 9th. Baker Mayfield 11th, Dak Prescott 12th, Jordan Love 13th, and Brock Purdy 14th. Then in tier 3, Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Geno Smith, Bo Nix was 20th, tied with Sam Darnold, Drake May 22nd, Caleb Williams 23rd, Bryce Young 24th, Kirk Cousins 25th. Tier 4 had Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Michael Penix Jr. Interesting. They still had Kirk Cousins rated higher than him. J.J. McCarthy, 29. Daniel Jones, Joe Flacco, Anthony Richardson, Spencer Rattler, and Saints fans. And then Kenny Pickett, because they're not sure who's going to be the Browns guy. Kenny Pickett was in number 5. So they had 2 Browns and 2 Falcons, if you're wondering how you got to 34. So there you go. Take a quick break. We'll come back. Dave McCarthy will join us on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The sun is shining, the weather's warm, and some of Edmonton's favorite sports are back in season. If you're looking for the cherry on top of a perfect summer day, check out Play Alberta to experience casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Download the Play Alberta app today and deposit $20 or more with promo code SUMMER to claim a $100 casino bonus. That's promo code SUMMER for a $100 casino bonus on us. Redeemable once per Play Alberta account. Remember, if you gamble, please use your game sense.
McDonald's Summer Drink Days are here. Get a $2 small fruit splash beverage or a small frappe or smoothie for just $3 each. Summer's booming with McDonald's Summer Drink Days. Excludes additional flavor shots and toppings at participating McDonald's in Canada. Taxes extra. Prices exclude delivery.
The 8th annual Oilers Nation Open tees off Friday, August 29th at 9 a.m. A Texas scramble with fellow golfers, sports fans, and maybe even a few local personalities. Great shots, cold drinks, and a great cause. Gregor's Grads. Sign up at nationgear.ca.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
What does excellence truly mean, and how does it guide your choices? At Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't just a goal, it's their standard. They shine in every aspect, from top-tier customer satisfaction in sales and service to impressive inventory, strong customer loyalty, and prices that are tough to match. Experience the dedication to quality firsthand at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
Performance by Action Electrical today. Their projects team kicks things off, designing and building with unmatched skill.
Then the service team swoops in for those crucial repairs and maintenance. And don't forget the testing team, ensuring everything's safe and sound before the solar team scores with sustainable energy.
A complete team effort. Have Action Electrical bring home a win for you and your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
New crust alert at Papa John's. Your favorite cheese meets your favorite pizza in the new cheddar crust pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's pizza makers created the perfect addition to their crust by melting garlic and herb seasoned cheddar cheese right on top of their fresh original dough that's made with 6 simple ingredients. Try a one-topping cheddar crust pizza today for only $17.99. You better hurry though, because it's only for a limited time. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, proudly locally owned and operated.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Did you know that Japa offers in-house and on-site heavy equipment service? Rain or shine, Japa's service department is here for you. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
hat tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Rolling through a busy Tuesday. Man, the day's just flying by. 4:30, you're almost done your work day. Love it, boys and girls. Hope you're getting through the summer blahs for some people at work, although some people's job is even easier in the summertime. Maybe get a little bit more outdoors time. Hope you're enjoying it. If you're a baseball fan, Riverhawks tonight. Opportunity to go to the league final. Of course, this is the division final, taking on Bellingham. And then the winner will travel to the winner of the South between Cornwallis and Portland. And they will play on Thursday. And so the Riverhawks, who have played very well, especially, they won the second half. They ended up the season with more wins than Bellingham, which is why they have the home game tonight. And the crowds have shown up all year long, and I expect nothing different tonight. I would say at least 7K. Tonight, probably maybe pushing even a sellout. So it should be awesome. Enjoy the game tonight. Also, if you're not going to the game, you're a baseball guy. The Jays are back taking on the Chicago Cubs tonight. And we're going to talk some NHL now as we go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. And the summer heat continues. So you know what? $2 Sundays, $2 snack size shakes, and even better, download the McDonald's app. And you can get $1 cones exclusively through the app. As Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM joins us. David, little bit of rain in your neck of the woods today, I see.
It did rain finally for the first time in honestly 6 weeks.
Really?
And it has been some time. The estate has been suffering, that I will tell you. But like Yosemite Sam in Looney Tunes, it compelled me to use the line that he once said. If you follow me on X at Dave A. McCarthy, you'll see you didn't have to overdo it. It's like it was wind, the likes of which I thought was going to blow something down. We were on the verge of having floods, Jason. And then thankfully it let up. The sun came out and we're all good and we got a good watering. But it has not rained here in quite some time. Did not like that.
All right. We're into the kind of just slogging through the NHL season right now for NHL fans as you look for it, Dave. But you look at the Minnesota Wild, and they're kind of intriguing to me. Kaprizov, he's got 1 year left in his deal, and he's obviously going to be up for a big raise. And there's the Rossi, who's an RFA, and there's been some talk there. What do you think happens with the Wild? That's two of their top 4 scorers on the team.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've made it clear. They're asked about this all the time in Minnesota. Bill Guerin is the future of Kirill Kaprizov, and he's made it abundantly clear that their only concern is to get him signed. So I think they're going to do everything that they possibly can to get that done. The question is, what number is that going to come in at? And to me, Kirill Kaprizov has been an elite player. He started off last season for a good 6 weeks, 2 months in Hart Trophy level contention, and then he got hurt. And that's been a bit of an issue during his career, is that injuries have held him back at times. But when he's healthy, when we saw last year, I mean, I think he's as good a player as anybody in the game. What is that going to take to get it done? He's not Connor McDavid. Let's not get carried away. I think somewhere below what Leon Draisaitl already signed for should get it done. I'm sorry, if 8 times 13 doesn't get it done for Kirill Kaprizov, then I question your motives as a player. I think that's a more than fair deal. Based on what we've seen out of him in his body of work. He'll be set up for the rest of time. But I don't think he's at the level where he can expect to get more than Leon Draisaitl. I think that would be foolish. So, I think in Minnesota, they're always somewhat conscious of guys leaving. So if they can get 8 years, I think they'd like to go down that road. And I think 13 is more than a fair number for sure. I think that should get that done.
What about Rossi?
What about him?
Just his contract and the number you think he's going to get. And do you think he starts the season in Minnesota, or is he going to get traded?
Oh, no, I think he starts in Minnesota. Look, I mean, he's a guy, I'm just looking at his stats right now. He had a really good year last year. But he was still a 60-point guy, not a 95-point guy. And he's 23. He's going to turn 24 in September here. So he's had 2 years under his body of work that suggests there's something there. 21 goals, 24 goals, 40 points, 60 points. How much of a jump are we realistically expecting him to make? Are we expecting him to go from 24 goals to 45 goals and from 60 points to 100 points? That's quite a jump. Maybe, but I wouldn't be willing to bet on that quite yet. So, again, I look at him as a type of guy that he's not that big either. And that's something that I think you have to keep in mind. Like 5'9", 180. He's not a big guy. He's a skill guy. Mm-hmm. And you need skill, absolutely. But as we've seen in the past couple of years, even the past maybe 3 or 4 years, dating back to Vegas, guys who have some size in the playoffs, especially later on in the playoffs, tend to rise to the fore. So
and that's why I asked Dave when I mentioned starting the year in Minnesota, because the thing about Rossi is I'm not sold he's a Bill Guerin player.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And Bill Guerin has made it abundantly clear, if you look at how he's built the team, there's a certain style of player he likes.
That's for sure true. Now, but you don't need, no matter what your philosophy is, you don't need the same type of player all throughout your lineup. If you have enough of those type of Bill Guerin players, which I think you need, I think your scale needs to be tipped more in favor of guys that have a little bit of piss and vinegar to them, to borrow a Brad Treliving phrase from a couple of years ago, than water bugs who dart around the ice. I think it needs to be more of the first and less of the second. But I think you can also use a skill set that Marco Rossi brings, provided you have that insulation around him. Like, to use the example of the Leafs, their top 4 guys were all cut the same way, and then the salary cap went flat, and they were never able to build out the team around them to insulate those guys. And then as a result, they did not have anywhere near the success that they should have had. But if they had been able to build out the team around them and bring in some guys that had some size and some physicality, so that you didn't have to lean entirely on skilled guys, but you could mix a skilled guy in with 2 mean, nasty pieces of business, then I think you got something there. And that's why I would be hesitant at this point to move on Marco Rossi if I was the Minnesota Wild, just because skill doesn't come along for free very easily. And I think you need that on your team. You just can't build your team entirely with guys who are 5'9", 180, whose games are primarily focused on skill.
Yeah, no, so, you definitely need a mix. That's totally fair.
So, like, I mean, if I'm the Wild, I'd look at a shorter term deal there, and see if, pay him some pretty good money, get him till he's 28 or whatever, and then that way. It's a win for the Wild, and it's a potential win for the player down the road. I think that to me makes a lot of sense, especially when you don't know exactly what Marco Rossi is going to be. Is he a 60-point guy? Is he a 75-point guy? Is he a 105-point guy? I don't think we really know that yet because he's not 21. He's 23. He's going to be 24. Like, you're kind of getting to what you are at 24. It's not like going from 20 to 21 to 22.
Dave McCarthy from Sirius XM joins us. The Montreal Canadiens, they had Noah Dobson. They've got a young Lane Hudson, and I saw Serge Savard thinking that he's maybe the most skilled player they've had since Guy Lafleur in that organization, which is a high praise because, man, Stefan Richer scored 50 goals a few times. He's a hell of a player.
Yeah.
And Kovalev, when he was on, was a hell of a player. But, everybody, probably the most famous Kovalev one was when he kind of stood up and quit after taking a slash. So probably not the best memory. No. But when you look at the Canadiens and when you dig into all their underlying numbers and everything else, and, they made the playoffs with the, 91 points and stuff like that. Where do you come out on the Canadiens this year? And are they significantly better with Dobson? They still got a few question marks for you. How do you evaluate the Habs going into this season?
Well, Ivan Demidov is a huge wild card. We have had but an amuse-bouche, if you will, when it comes to what he could be capable of at this level. So, if he's a guy that jumps in and immediately turns into a guy who's a 70-plus point guy, now we're adding another injection of offense. Can Kirby Dach stay healthy? That would be nice, because if he can, I like a lot of what he brings. He's a skilled guy, but I think he can handle some heavier minutes. He can go up against other teams' top lines. And between him and Nick Suzuki, I think you've got flexibility when it comes to your matchups if you're Marty St. Louis. If Ivan Demidov shows himself to be a guy that can handle legitimate top 6 minutes, well, now you can really situationally utilize Patrick Laine in circumstances that suit him best. He has never been a guy, nor do I think will ever be a guy, who has a tremendous amount of interest in playing when he doesn't have the puck. And that's okay. But if you can use him in offensive zone situations, lean on him on the power play, and adjust his minutes accordingly, then suddenly he becomes a real asset. Can Yuri Slafkovsky take another step this year? I think he's a guy that showed some promise and some progression last year. And at the age of 21 right now, he's going to play most of this season as a 21-year-old. If he can take that next step and really assert himself in terms of the type of player that he is, I think he needs to learn to use his size and his physicality more than he has at any point so far in his NHL career. And that's hard for a guy who's 20 years of age. But we saw progression this year. Now, that's going to be the key. Just because you have the size when you're the age of 20, it's different than when you start to get a little further on into your 20s. You kind of have like that gangly frame. Now you start to grow into your body. I look at him. Can he have a really big year now that he's 200 games in the league? Cole Caulfield, I think we know what he is. He's an elite shooter. He's an elite scorer. What is he when he doesn't have the puck? So there's a bit of a question mark there. On the back end, I think a strength of their team is their back end, but they're still really, really young. They're still really, really young. So I look at them as a team that's got a tremendous amount of promise, and bets that I would place that I'd be pretty confident in them turning out, like the Slafkovskys, like the Demidovs, those type of guys. But they're still so young. And that's why I don't look at them as like a legitimate cup contender, but I absolutely look at them as a team that should be in the playoff mix for sure in the Atlantic Division.
The Detroit Red Wings, Dave, are they gonna actually make the playoffs this year, or is the Yzer plan not going to come to plan again?
I don't see it. Like, what have they done to improve their team in the offseason? A team that was not good enough to get in last year. When you look at teams like Montreal, I think getting better and the potential to continue to get better. Ottawa getting much better, making the playoffs last year, as Montreal did, and the potential to continue to get better. I don't think Florida's going anywhere. I don't think Tampa's going anywhere. I think Toronto is still a good team. Okay, they went out and got John Gibson. That's nice. This guy's always hurt. Like, I hate to sound cold and callous, but I swear to God, every time I turn around during the season, I throw on Twitter, I see a tweet, John Gibson has left the game. Like, he is perpetually injured. So that's a question mark to me. Like, if he can stay healthy, yeah, he should stabilize their goaltending, but it has been so long since John Gibson has been a goaltender of consequence in the league. Like, years. So I don't know. We'll see. Like, I don't know what John Gibson is at this point. I think it's a little bit of a roll of the dice. And outside of that, I don't look at their lineup really having gotten any better. And I don't see a ton of guys that have the potential to take meteoric jumps in their play like I see in Montreal. Like, I think Lucas Raymond is settling into more or less what he is at this point, and he's a good player. Alex DeBrincat is kind of that guy who's a shooter, but unless you have somebody elite passing the puck, his numbers will dip. And can you rely on him at even strength all the time? After that, I see a bunch of guys that are, quite honestly, paid too high and are slotted too high in the lineup. Like, I look at the depth chart right now on Daily Faceoff. They've got Andrew Kopp slated as a fourth-line center, paying him too much money to be a fourth-line center. JT Compher slated as a third-line center. Okay, maybe the cap's gone up now, so you can live with one of those guys being overpaid to be a third-line center, but that's just too much money down your lineup, to me. And I look at James Van Riemsdyk. I see him slated as a first-line left winger right now. I'm sorry, he is not. So I look at their left side as being pretty lean. I look at the middle of the ice is kind of being lean / overpaid. Dylan Larkin, really good player. I don't see him as a number one center on a team that is competitive. I don't. I see him as an excellent number two center. But when you come up against Matthews, I don't like that matchup. When you come up against Barkov, I don't like that matchup. Point, I don't like that matchup. That's not good. That's not good. No. And I look at the right side, quite honestly, as being a little lean too. So I'm sorry, I don't see Detroit as a playoff team. Do you?
No, I don't. And I just wonder if this will be the off season of change in Detroit. It's going to be interesting to see what path they go on with Steve Yzerman, who just hasn't found the success that they were hoping for. I think that's obvious. Hasn't come close, really.
No, I don't think it's going to happen this offseason, the change. I think they're committed to go through with what they, but next year, how can you continue down that road if they have another underwhelming season, which, quite honestly, I don't put them higher than sixth in the Atlantic Division?
I was going to say, yeah. Right. And so you got Florida, Tampa, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal. So they got the Buffalo, and then who am I?
Boston, who I don't think is going to be very strong this year.
No. So yeah, we'll see. Davey, great stuff, buddy. We will chat with you next Tuesday. Have a great day.
Oh yeah, buddy. See you.
Dave McCarthy from SiriusXM. Quick break. We got 5 questions. Mark Spector and more on a busy Tuesday edition of the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Oodle noodle origins.
In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly in the trade. After his father's death, Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Neudel, who was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the New World. At Ellis Island, Neudel was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as
Oodle Noodle.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to call Legacy. Call Legacy. For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies. With state-of-the-art motor coaches, we provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, call 1-877-748-0991 or visit silentrides.ca.
It's the Bricks Great Canadian Staycation Sale. Score hot summer savings like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and free local delivery on outdoor furniture purchases of $4.99 or more. Save 60% off genuine leather and reclining sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Plus, save up to 20% off dining and bedroom furniture. Get up to $400 off big screen TVs and buy more, save more, up to $1,000 off select major appliances. The Brick, saving you more.
Hey, Gary, is that your dad?
No, this is Evan, the new sales rep I hired.
Oh.
First impressions matter, but when hair loss takes over, it can feel like you're not being seen for the maverick you truly are. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we know that hair loss is more than just a cosmetic issue. It's personal. Let's discuss all the cutting-edge options available so you can make a great impression every time.
Book a free consultation today at drvanceelliott.com.
The 8th annual Oilers Nation Open tees off Friday, August 29th at 9 a.m. A Texas scramble with fellow golfers, sports fans, and maybe even a few local personalities. Great shots, cold drinks, and a great cause. Gregor's Grads. Sign up at nationgear.ca.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
I'm here with Mike, a Ford employee, to hook me up with a deal on a new F-150.
Oh, with Ford employee pricing on now, you don't really need me. You pay what we pay.
So I just get your price?
Yep. Tell them Mike sent you. Or Maria, or Namig.
Ford employee pricing is here, where you pay what Mike pays.
Or Genevieve, or Elise, or Kevy.
Right now, get up to $12,975 in total price adjustments on eligible 2025 F-150 models. For details, visit your Alberta Ford store or Ford.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. It's Terrific Tuesday. Get 40% off any regular price pizza when you use the code word 40Tuesday at the start of each pizza order at papajohns.ca or on the Papa John's app.
Tricks, touchdowns, and home runs. Get it all with the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by playalberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
We roll through Tuesday afternoon. The Gregor Show presented by playalberta.ca. $65 million. Get your tickets. Playalberta.ca for the Lotto Max and 6 Max Millions. The Mark and Napier lotteries. Playalberta.ca. As we get to 5 questions now, brought to you by The Brick and their Great Canadian Staycation sale. You can get up to $400 off big screen TVs right now, 65% off genuine leather and reclining sofas when you buy a matching love seat or chair, and free local delivery on outdoor furniture purchase of $4.99 or more right now at The Brick and thebrick.com.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, question number 1. We're on the talk of tiers. So when it comes to the NHL and we're looking at groups as a whole per team, how many teams would you have in the elite tier?
Ooh, good question. So who would be my elite tier in the NHL? Well, Captain Obvious. I'll go with Florida and Edmonton. And after that, well, the Dallas Stars make 3 consecutive conference finals. You're pretty good. And I think I would just have those 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I do kind of like the Colorado Avalanche lines. I'm intrigued to see what Brent Burns can do going there, probably in the 3rd pairing. But I think I would agree with you. The one I always hope for, just because the top end talent I like, is the Buffalo Sabres. But it's Buffalo. I just really like their top 3. But I have to be realistic. It's not an elite group. Question number 2 for you. Just looking at the Edmonton Elks, and we know a lot of people say the season doesn't start till Labor Day because then you can start making some additions, maybe some NFL players. If you could upgrade this Elks roster at one position, what would you pick?
Oh, offensive line.
No. Anyone specific?
Like who's available?
Well, just like, would you say like tackle, guard, center?
Oh, well, I think they need a better right tackle.
Yeah, because I was kind of thinking interior. Like I'd love a run grader, just someone to get that run game going. But if I have to go different, give me an edge rusher, someone who can just get consistent pressure on the quarterback. I think that would go.
You think they need a better running back, or
edge rusher?
Oh, edge.
No,
okay.
yeah, Rankin. I'm on board for Rankin and
Rankin
Lee.
Yeah,
what Rankin's done as a pass catcher has been outstanding. But edge rusher, I think they need to generate a pass rush.
Hey, buddy, there's nothing. Like I was looking at Brown. Remember they left Brown? He's in Arizona. He's pretty low down their depth charts.
Huh?
He could be getting cut. He led the Elks in sacks. So that's a name to watch for here in the coming weeks this month. If now maybe he sticks around a practice roster. I understand all that, but I was looking at their depth chart and I was looking at playing time, and he's down it pretty deep, man. So he's the one guy that potentially we could see, because if he returns, that's a big boost.
Yeah, and in grand scheme of life, he's a young man, but 27 years old. Cards might want younger guys on the practice roster. So that would be
a good point too.
That would be massive. But question number 3 for you, talking top quarterbacks in the NFL. On the flip side, which quarterback room as a whole for a team do you think is the worst in the league?
The worst quarterback room. Well, New Orleans. Yeah. It's got to be the Saints. Because at least Cleveland's got a maybe, and Shedeur Sanders maybe.
Cleveland isn't that terrible, I find, but like Justin Fields out of New York, I think Tyrod Taylor's done for the year now. So that leaves their backup as Adrian Martinez. If Fields can't live up to it, that could be a tough one. And then even out in Tennessee, I mean, Cam Moore, number 1 overall pick, I think we all have high hopes for him. But if he goes down, all of a sudden, Will Levis, who got them the number 1 overall pick, he's gone too. So there's a few teams, like if one bad thing goes wrong, they could be in a lot of trouble. Question number 4. We talked about this on Fantasy Frenzy today because someone in the Dukes League hasn't done their punishment yet for fantasy football from last season. What does your league have for punishment, if anything?
What do you mean? Like, what's their? Oh, you mean if they lose?
So the guy in their league, was supposed to do 3 TikToks a week and to do like trends, and he had to do 3 of them a week, minimum 5 seconds. But if he got to 5,000 followers, he was done.
Okay.
We won't say his name, but he hasn't done the challenge yet. So
he hasn't done any of it?
Hasn't done any of it yet.
Well, I'd kick him out of the league.
That was what the majority of people were saying.
Yeah, like if you're not owning, like it's a TikTok thing, like dude, don't commit to the league, and then basically he's welching on a bet.
100%.
Right, that's what he's doing. So to me, it's because he was supposed to do 3 a week for the whole offseason.
It was for a certain amount of time that he had to do it. I want to say like it was like a couple of months, but
okay. So he clearly can't do it before the season starts.
No.
Well, I would say, hey, sorry, buddy. Yeah, he'd be out of the league.
Well, and in your league, what is the punishment?
We don't have a punishment.
No punishment? Okay.
Well, we have things like if you have a losing streak of certain times, stuff like that. But no, like if you're the league loser in our league, you just have a trophy that we get. Like, it's a plunger trophy. It's terrible, but yeah, that's all. We don't have a punishment for the loser. We've talked about it. We've just never put one in.
Yeah, ours isn't too crazy. Ours is like you just have to buy. One loser buys the pizza at the draft. The other loser buys the beer. It's nothing too crazy, but it's good for everyone else. A little incentive not to finish bottom two.
Yeah,
but you're
fair.
not going crazy.
Like we've talked about it, we should have the loser should host our draft, and I actually like that rule.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
provide drinks and all that. Yeah,
you gotta host the draft. So, and really, like hosting the draft is you got to get all the tables and the chairs of 12 people, and so yeah, it's like guys don't love being party hosts for the most part, so it would just be more of an annoyance thing. But I could get on board with that.
Final question. Casey Affleck celebrates his 50th birthday today, brother of Ben. In honor of that, who are your favorite siblings in Hollywood?
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, for me to say that, I guess I have to like both of their work.
Yeah.
So I would say Luke and Owen Wilson would probably be like the go-to. They're both pretty funny in their own ways. I believe they have another brother that I'm not as knowledgeable of. Either that or maybe the Wayans. The Wayans had a pretty good run.
Yeah, I would. I guess now, if I had to pick someone, I'd probably go with the Hemsworth brothers.
Yeah,
right. They would probably be my guess if I was going old school time. Yeah, probably the Wilson brothers would be up there. I was going to say as a joke, Blake and Robin Lively, but things I could care less about. It would be hard to find. So I couldn't care less about. So yeah. And if I went way back in the day, it was Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen, simply because of Young Guns. So was that great? But yeah, there's not. I guess I'd have to go with Chris, Liam, and Luke as the Hemsworth brothers. I guess that would be my guess. So, although you know what, Maggie and Jake Gyllenhaal, they're pretty good too. So,
I like Jake. I don't necessarily like Maggie was a downgrade in The Dark Knight. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah, no, okay, that's fair.
I don't know what else she's really been in though.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not. I couldn't sit here and list a lot of her movies. So, right.
No, me neither.
Yeah. So, no, there's not. There's probably more siblings in sports that I would be much more intrigued by than siblings in Hollywood. That's for sure. Way better options, I would find.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Hey guys, with our fantasy football punishment, they have to rent a bus or vehicle and be the designated driver for the night. We go to the casino then somewhere to watch the Super Bowl. Start feeling bad for the guy when he has to drive us all home too. For Matt, well, that's safe and smart. I don't mind that punishment. Got to be the DD for the night. Don't lose, right? That's the thing. You can avoid it by not losing. Just even win your league loser bowl, then you're not the guy. So I don't mind that at all. Let's take a quick break. Let's get to the con man and a sports 1440 update brought to you by Cattail Crossing, where stop in at Cattail where and see the C-Can bar for your shot at $10,000 hole-in-one Thursday through Sunday. It's about 125 yards. It's unbelievable. You got the C-Cans, you got couches, heaters. You can make a whole event of it. Check it out, cattailcrossing.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Game day in our city is the Edmonton Riverhawks hosting the Bellingham Bells down at Remax Field in the North Final. First pitch set for 7:05 at the Major League level. Jays and Cubs meeting in about 5 minutes out in Toronto. We also got the Braves and the Mets. Brewers host the Pirates. Nationals taking on the Royals. Astros host the Red Sox. Dodgers in Anaheim. Giants up against the Padres. And the Athletics host the Rays. At the Holinka Gretzky Cup in Czechia, Canada beating up on Switzerland today 9-1. They'll meet the host Czechs tomorrow at noon, who fell to the Finns 4-1 earlier today. And in the WNBA, we've got the Fever hosting the Wings at 5:30. Then at 8 o'clock, it's Liberty taking on the Sparks. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we're joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and the voice of the Bakersfield Condors, Ryan Holt. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Action Electrical's projects team takes the field, folks, ready to execute the entire play for new commercial builds.
Absolutely. They're masters of design, build, sketching strategy from initial blueprints to core electrical infrastructure. The team never misses on complex projects.
Known for handling big league constructions and major renovations, ensuring flawless execution, hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
The sun is shining, the weather's warm, and some of Edmonton's favorite sports are back in season. If you're looking for the cherry on top of a perfect summer day, check out Play Alberta to experience casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Download the Play Alberta app today and deposit $20 or more with promo code SUMMER to claim a $100 casino bonus. That's promo code SUMMER for a $100 casino bonus on us. Redeemable once per Play Alberta
update
account. Remember,
brought
if you
to you
gamble,
by
please use your game sense.
Red Deer Resort and Casinos.
Country Night is
Give your kids a
Friday,
summer
August 15th
to remember.
against Toronto,
Bears,
presented by
Beds.
Coconut Cowboy Road, featuring the
Brought
Evil
to you by-
competition, country music all night long, plus a petting zoo and pony rides for the kids. Tickets start at just $20 at GoElks.com.
New crust alert at Papa John's. Your favorite cheese meets your favorite pizza in the new cheddar crust pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's pizza makers created the perfect addition to their crust by melting garlic and herb seasoned cheddar cheese right on top of their fresh original dough that's made with 6 simple ingredients. Try a one-topping cheddar crust pizza today for only $17.99. You better hurry though, because it's only for a limited time. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, proudly locally owned and operated.
What does excellence truly mean, and how does it guide your choices? At Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't just a goal, it's their standard. They shine in every aspect, from top-tier customer satisfaction in sales and service to impressive inventory, strong customer loyalty, and prices that are tough to match. Experience the dedication to quality firsthand at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
It's the Bricks Great Canadian Staycation Sale. Score hot summer savings like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and free local delivery on outdoor furniture purchases of $4.99 or more. Get to the con man. 50% off genuine Resort leather and reclining and sofas casino. when you buy the matching love seater chair. Plus, save up to 20% off dining and bedroom furniture. Get up to $400 off big.
It's happened again, and construction season is in full swing. Job delayed, money lost, and clients disappointed because your rigging failed and it wasn't inspected. Don't let this happen to you. Have your lifting slings, fittings, hoisting tools, and safety harnesses checked with Titan Supply. Titan Supply offers certified on-site and in-house rigging inspections and service, so they can repair it, replace it, and recertify it. Titan Supply in Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, and Calgary, and at titansupply.ca. Lift, dig, haul.
If you're thinking of switching to co-op propane, there's no better time than now. Eligible customers who switch to co-op propane receive up to 750 liters.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. What's the best way to beat the tariffs? Buy Canadian. Cantork's products not only made in Canada, but right here in Edmonton. Save money. Support Canada at Cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Rolling through Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back in the City of Champions. Live at West Edmonton Mall. It is the Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440, sports1440.ca. Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Thanks as always for listening, watching. You're driving around out of the city, out of the province, out of the country, listening on the app. Very much appreciate it. Radio Player or Stingray app. So thanks very much. It's always a pleasure to have you along for the ride as we enjoy some sports talk. Of course, we got the Jays back in action, taking on the Chicago Cubs, and we're about a few hours away from the first pitch tonight. The Edmonton Riverhawks, their final home game of the season. Win and you move on to the league final. Lose and it's been an unreal year. Like it's a win-win. They set another record for most attendance in the league, which is awesome. And so kudos to many of you who have gone. And I know a lot of people who go, they thoroughly enjoy it. They have made something very special in the River Valley right now. So if you haven't gone to a game, what are you waiting for? Get down there. Check it out tonight. And also on your way, maybe you want to stop in and play Alberta.ca. $65 million up for grabs in Lotto Max and 6 Max Millions. Play Alberta.ca. Time now for the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction, your underground infrastructure specialists. Simple things like running water, we'll take care of. A little bit more in depth to ensure all the roadways, everybody gets to and from where they want to go. They do it all. GS Construction, as Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet joins us. Spec, good afternoon. How you doing?
Doing great, man. I'm heading down to the ball game myself.
Ooh. Now, do you still bring your glove when you go to the game?
Buddy, I couldn't catch when I was playing ball. 2 beers and a hot dog and some peanuts, I ain't catching. Be lucky if I catch a cold tonight.
Have you ever caught a ball at a game?
No, I had a ball rolled to me over a dugout once a million years ago in watching the Cubs play the Expos in Olympic Stadium. So that's the closest I got. I've never caught a ball at a big league game or anything. Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
Have you?
At the Trappers or anything?
I don't think I ever caught a ball. I must have. I went to a million games as a kid, but I don't remember catching one. Never caught one on the fly. I don't think so, man. I just don't think so.
No, I don't. I haven't been to many major. Like I've been to San Francisco, Montreal, Toronto. Where else I go to a ball game? Baltimore, but I've never caught one. I've actually never had a foul ball. No, I've caught one at a Riverhawks game. But no, it bounced in front of me. There was no one there, so it was an easy catch. Like it wasn't like I snared at one hander out of midair or anything like that. But no, I've never got my son got a ball his first game. He was pretty jazzed up about it. So
did he?
Yeah. So he and that's kind of what's cool about baseball, right? You get a ball right from the game to use ball, so it's kind of neat. It's like getting a puck at an order game. People get a puck and they still love it. So it's cool. And the Riverhawks, you'll enjoy the game tonight. You know, they've been playing great ball, man. It's gonna be it should be packed house tonight.
It will be packed. I looked at the ticket chart today. I was buying a ticket and it is jammed. So I would say to people, if you're driving your vehicle, it's a 7:00 game. You can leave any time. It's they got a great thing going down there, but they have I'm not selling them out or anything. They have a hard time parking enough cars when there's 9,000 people there, right? They don't have that much parking. So get there early. My suggestion, I'm riding my bike down. My suggestion is, if you took an Uber, the guy could drop you off and you could walk the last few blocks. That's a great way to do it.
Yes, it is.
I got caught going down there once a little bit late, and it was a big night, and we did spend a lot of time looking for a parking spot, man. Missed a couple innings of ball, and you don't want to do that. So get there early and be prepared.
Yes, get there early, be prepared. It's nice night outside. And hey, they kind of lucked out because if we look at the forecast for tomorrow, it's brutal. So this is great for the final home game of the season for the Riverhawks, and to take it out with a win would be fantastic. Do you know, are they having fireworks again tonight? Do you know that?
No idea.
Okay.
No idea. Boy, they had them the other time when I was there, and they were unbelievable. Best fireworks I've seen all summer.
I think they have them after every game. So I'm assuming they're going to have one tonight. So Wanya will be loving it because keeps his kid up. So he very much enjoys that. Beck, so we had a fun little to-do thing. So we'll continue on with you. Ask DVD, I asked Struds. So last year, it was Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, Arvidsson, and Podkolzin, who are the 4 wingers who played the most minutes with McDavid and Draisaitl, McDavid and or Draisaitl. And so
Those
I
are your
assume
top 6 wingers.
Yeah, so Hyman definitely is one. So maybe Nuge is a winger for you. Maybe he's a center. But which 3 wingers after Hyman are going to play the most minutes 5-on-5 with Draisaitl and McDavid this coming season?
Well, I have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as a winger on this team, barring injury. He's a winger.
Okay.
So he's one of them. Mangiapane's for sure one of them.
Okay.
He's going to play second line likely with Draisaitl as far as I can see. So now we're looking at the last winger. I'm going to say we're probably looking at Leon Draisaitl's left winger.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we could have a conversation about whether that continues to be Vasily Podkolzin or whether you run Trent Frederick up there. I kind of see them. They're both bottom 6 players, frankly. So, they're both going to play maybe a little bit above their pay grade. But Podkolzin was pretty good up there last year. So, what do you like? I don't know who to pick. If you're making me pick one of those 2 guys, I'm probably going to pick Podkolzin because he's got familiarity. Do you think Frederick could supplant Podkolzin in that spot?
Well, I think there's a chance he can. And then there's the Thomas Sek, Savoy, Ike Howard possibly.
Yeah, there's those guys too.
Right? Like that's like I think Edmonton and I think the question is because when I say at the end of the year who plays the most minutes there, some guys might we know whoever starts there doesn't mean they're going to finish there other than Hyman for sure. Because even Nugent Hopkins might end up, they say, you know what, geez, maybe we're going to have him as a winger. And if he's not producing 5-on-5, at some point you're going to say, well, we got to move him down. Because at some point, I think the one area of need for the Oilers, and the Oilers had a lot of positive things. They went to the Stanley Cup final again. They dominated in the West. In the regular season, you know what? They created a lot of shots. They didn't finish. The production from top 6 wingers last year, outside of Hyman, wasn't good enough. Now, Podkolzin did a lot of other things well, so that's fine. But I'm talking just offensive production.
Yep.
It wasn't good enough. And so I think because you have some other options this year, I think we might see guys move in and out. Maybe Frederick's going to get on the left wing, as you talked about. Ike Howard. I'm not sold that Ike Howard's a guaranteed lock in the NHL this year. I'm not. He's a rookie, and he's coming out of college. We'll see how he is when he turns pro. Maybe he's ready. Awesome if he is. And if he isn't, that's okay, too. I'm not one who thinks, oh, my God, they traded O'Reilly for Howard. He's got to play this year. No, he doesn't, right?
No, he doesn't.
I don't know. David Tomasek might be better. I don't know anything about the guy. I shouldn't say that. I've talked to a lot of scouts, but I don't have my own eyes evaluations on him. And so I'm very much intrigued to see what he does. And that's why I think it's a fascinating question because there's no clear right or wrong answer at this point.
Well, this is the competition that makes your team better. I think Hyman and Nugent Hopkins are legit, genuine top line players. They've been there their whole lives. They can play top 6. But as you point out, if someone's not producing, you do have Matt Savoy, who's a pretty talented offensive player. Maybe he gets a shot next to Draisaitl, maybe next to McDavid. Maybe I'm with you on Tomasek. He's an offensive player. I don't see him walking in here and being top 6, but I could be wrong. What do I know about this guy? Only what you know, what I've been hearing on the radio and talking to guys about him. So that is fair. And Howard's a total wild card. I'm very skeptical about guys who make the jump from the, NCAA or junior and think they're going to play a steady top 6 role in the NHL, man. That's a big jump.
And to do it on a team spec that's a Stanley Cup contender is harder.
That's a big jump.
Yeah.
I think Mangiapane comes here to me as a top 6 player. He seems to me he should be a top 6 winger. But you know what? You got to earn it, right? So you got to. My point would be this: let's say there's probably 2 to 3 jobs we're questioning in terms of top 6 wingers, and there's 5 guys. So that's good. Everybody's got to hustle. If you don't produce, the next guy's licking his chops in line to take your job. That makes a good hockey team.
Oh, 100% it does. And that's why. So you have Nuge as more of a winger this year than a center.
Yep. I have him at this point in his career, I think I'm not criticizing him. I think we know what Nuge is. Nuge is a fill-in center. He's a good second centerman on a line with another center. He can take a draw when your guy gets tossed out. He's really good in the power play. He's a subtle, good player. To me, if he's playing in my top 6, he is a winger, period. I don't think that's ever going to change.
So right now, who would be your leading candidate to start the season as your third line center?
Yeah, it's got to be Adam Henrique, doesn't it?
Maybe. Yeah. Like, he didn't have a great year last year, but he's a veteran
He's a
guy.
year older.
Yeah.
I think you hope it's Adam Henrique, because that's kind of what he's here for, right? So you hope it's him. If we get to December and last year's not great year turns into this year's even worse year, then we got to do some talking here and figure something out. I question whether, like, I kind of feel like, listen, this is probably Adam Henrique's last year here. I think that's fair to say. His deal's up after this year. Chances are he'll move on. Do you see Trent Frederick long-term as your third line center?
Well, he hasn't played enough center for me to be a for sure center. Now, maybe he will be, but I know he said he wants to play center, but I've talked to a lot of guys who want to play center because they're used to it. They like it, but he hasn't played a ton of center. I was looking at his minutes deployed, how many faceoffs he takes. Like, he hasn't spent a ton of time there.
No. So if I'm Chris Knobloch, I'm not telling him what to do, but here's a consideration. What if I kind of glued Frederick to Henrique for this season? What if I put Frederick on Henrique's wing and said to Henrique, help this guy along. Teach him how to be a centerman. Teach him some things about faceoffs. Sit next to him in the dressing room. And what if I gave Frederick some time at center this year and moved Henrique to his wing? And then I have another line with kind of quasi 2 centermen on it, which I like. What if you groomed Frederick? I don't mind a 6'3" guy who's kind of tough if he's good on draws. He's hard to play against. To me, behind the skill of McDavid and Draisaitl, I want a bit of an ornery third line center. I think Frederick fits the bill, but I'm with you. I haven't seen him play enough center to really say so.
Yeah. No, I would 100% agree. That's
theoretically, he fits the hole nicely.
Yeah. No, theoretically. Hey, you look and say, yeah, could this guy play like Jack McBain or Adam Lowry? 100%. Big, strong.
Right.
Yeah, like there's, Jordan Stahl. There's lots of reasons to the stylistic viewpoint. So and he's a right shot because they don't have a lot of those. So
love that.
Right.
Love
that is definitely something like, would I like to see Trent Frederick play center all preseason? Sure. Then I would have a better, and then even then it's probably like, hey, maybe we try the first 20 games. Right. But if he's that, then you're moving Adam Henrique to the wing, because I don't think Adam Henrique's going to be your fourth line center. I could be wrong, right? But maybe not. So, like, the Oilers, I was naming off 11 forwards, and they only have 9 top 9 spots. And so then your fourth line is Lazar, maybe one of those 2 guys. Then there's still Janmark, who I know that, didn't have a great, but Janmark can skate. He can kill penalties. He's
a good player.
Reliable. The coaches love him because they know exactly what they're getting from him. He's going to miss breakaways, not going to score a ton in the regular season. Then he'll show up in the playoffs and usually play a little bit better. But they got a lot. Like, it's funny to me that, when I talk about it out loud, like, I find some people are underrating the Oilers in the sense that they think there's all these holes to fill. I don't think there's massive holes to fill because they've got all their core pieces in place, right? Their top 4 or 5 defense are locked in. We know who that is, right? There's a battle for their kind of like, who's going to be your number 6? Okay, sure. Great battle. But
whatever, yeah.
And we're not sure where the pieces fit, but they got a lot of them to move in and out. And so I think Edmonton's actually in a much better position than I read from some people analyzing this team. Like, they went to back-to-back cups, and I don't think that they've lost a lot. Because if I just went player by player, Connor Brown, Arvidsson, Skinner, Corey Perry, Derek Ryan. Those are the 5 forwards that are gone. Well, Evander Kane, but he didn't play in the regular season. So I'm only talking regular season. Kane was like a trade deadline acquisition in theory, right?
Yeah.
Then you look and say, okay, so those 5 guys are gone. Then you add in Trent Frederick, who wasn't here all regular season last year. You throw in Savoy, you throw in Howard, you throw in Thomas Heck. Now, those 3 are wild cards, no question. But then you got Lazar and you got Mangiapane. Like, I don't think I would argue that they're younger. Well, they're definitely younger. I think they're quicker. And I think they got more potential offensively.
Yeah, they're the first two for sure. They're obviously younger. They're going to be a little quicker, but the potential. I always, it's the oldest line in sports. What's potential mean? It means you haven't done anything yet. This isn't a team that's on a point in its arc where it's tapping its foot, waiting for a bunch of guys like Ike Howard to figure out how to be NHL players. They don't have a lot of time for that, right? This is a team that needs to win a Stanley Cup this season. Full stop. That's the only thing now, right? Win a cup. So you do have to walk the balance between a team that got older and slower last year, still made it to a cup. But I think everybody said it when the season broke last season. They got to get a little quicker. They got to get a little younger. I remember Draisaitl saying, yeah, we probably got to get faster here. And let's face it, Jay, getting faster means getting younger. They go hand in hand. They're the same thing. So I think Bowman did a pretty good job, and we still have a trade deadline to go. I think Mangiapane is going to be – I always liked him in Calgary. He took 1 year in Washington. He wasn't very good. It didn't go well for him. I think he finds form again here. I think he'll be a good player. And I think Frederick, if he's healthy, is going to be a much better guy than we watched last season, limping around from the day he showed up in Edmonton. He was hurt till the day he went away for the summer.
Yeah, no, there's no debate on that. Spec, go enjoy the game. I know you can watch little Cubs and Jays, and then you'll head out on your bike. Don't wipe out, and enjoy the Riverhawks.
Yeah, if you see a sports writer on a bike there, give him a wide berth out there, folks. I'm not sure I paid my
wouldn't
insurance.
say that. Somebody's going to be hitting you for sure. So,
all right, Jake, take it easy.
Mark Spector, the Spec Report brought to you by Diest. Actually, I shouldn't even joke about that. I don't know if anybody out there saw that video of those idiots who purposely ran into the cyclist from behind at 3 a.m. and videoed it and then posted it. Like, first of all, how classless and callous do you have to be to purposely run someone over on their bike when they're not doing anything wrong? And then be so ignorant and dumb to post it on your social media. Like, that's a new level of stupid right there. And so I hope they catch him soon. Let's take a quick break. We'll return. It's the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
Your company drowning in paperwork and administrative tasks? Do you need more data to make better decisions? Nectar.io is your company's all-in-one solution for fleet and materials management, safety, time cards, and
Facebook, X, and Instagram. As we get to
now is the
Sports
time to
1440
capture
update
and
brought to you by
transform fields,
01
trust
Hockey.
data into boardroom-level business intelligence, all with one login.
It was a really
Visit
competitive game,
Nectar.io
Struds,
to book a
and more
demo
on a
today.
Tuesday edition of Jason Play
Nectar.io, your
Alberta.ca.
business
Let's get to
made
the Con Man Sports 1440
McDonald's
update.
summer drink days are easy. Get a $2 small fruit splash beverage or a small frappe
To
or smoothie
Connor Halley
for
and a
just
Sports
$3 each.
1440
Summer's boom
update
with McDonald's
brought
summer
to
drink
you
days.
by
Excludes additional flavors
Cattail
and
Cross.
sauces at participating McDonald's and Canada. Taxes extra. Prices exclude delivery. Tee off to win with Cattail Crossing's
Winning for
$10,000
sales
hole-in-one
and service.
challenge.
You're looking for
Powered by
great
Sports
vehicles with
1440, Canada's first ever Aqua Range event. Just walk up, grab some golf balls,
to help
and start
think
swinging.
and process
or book a
the game.
VIP bay today. Win $10,000 with a hole-in-one. Plus,
We'll
great
get to all
secondary
of that.
hole and leaderboard
Let's get to
prizes.
the
Closest
Con
to the pin and
update
monthly
brought
winners
to
will
you
battle
by
for a
the Red Deer
$50,000
Resort and
grand
Casino.
prize.
The
The
August
hole-in-one
getaway just got
challenge
hotter.
is open Thursday to Sunday, noon till 8 through August. Weather permitting.
40 update
cattailcrossing.ca.
brought Red Deer Resort.
It's the Bricks Great
and
Canadian
give your
Staycation
kids a
Sale.
summer
Score
to remember.
hot summer savings
Bears,
like up to
Beds.
20% off outdoor furniture and free local delivery on outdoor
Flash
furniture
sale final
purchases
day
of
update
$4.99 or
brought
more.
40
Save 60%
the
on
Con
genuine
Man.
leather and
Let's get
reclining
to
sofas when you buy the matching love seat or chair. Plus, save up to 20% off dining and bedroom furniture. Get up to
Let's get to
$400
update.
off big
Give your
screen
kids a
TVs
summer
and buy more,
update
save more,
brought
up
to you by
$4,000
August getaway
off
just
select
got hotter.
Nectar appliances. The Brick, saving you more.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV. Our average used RV sells for around 30 grand. Some are more, some are less. And literally no one has 30 G's just sitting in their checking account.
Monthly payments are the best way to get the used RV that's right for your family.
That's right, Bob. Financing should be a stress-free process. But let me tell you a little secret. My granddaughters think I'm a model citizen. When I was young once. And if you look back into my credit history, you can see that it wasn't always excellent.
Perfect credit is nice, but not easily achievable.
You said it, Bob. But less than perfect credit is not a good reason to keep you from the great outdoors this season. I built our financing plans for the real world. And in the real world, nobody has a perfect credit score. So let's talk about how easy it is to make your favorite used RV affordable. As long as you promise not to tell Saxon and Goldie that I'm not perfect.
And that's no bull. NoBullRV.ca.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
CEBL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Sherbrooke Liquor, the best place for wine, cocktails, and beers from all over the world. Also, a variety of excellent non-alcoholic options. See more at SherbrookeLiquor.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Just enough. $5:30. Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you're having an awesome Tuesday afternoon. As Spec said, make your way to the Riverhawks game tonight. Get there a little bit early because it's going to be a packed house. There are some limited tickets still left. So you want to show up, you can buy tickets at the door, maybe to 100% secure your way and check it out online. You got about an hour and a half to go. Should be an awesome night for baseball. As time to talk a little hockey, and of course we'll talk about the baby Oilers. Of course, the Bakersfield Condors making some announcements yesterday and even today. And to talk on it, of course, Ryan Holt, the voice of the Condors, does all the PR as well, joins us once again. Holty, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Greg. How are you?
I'm excellent. So I guess let's start with some player news. Yesterday by the Condors, you signed 4 players. So these are American League deals only. You get Matt Brown, who's 26 years of age. You also have Trevor. Now, is it Yannick or Yannicki? How do you say it properly?
I believe it's Yannicki, at least from what I remember from his days in Calgary last year.
Okay. You've got Mats Lindgren, who's a defenseman, son of a former Edmonton Oiler, Mats Lindgren, and another D-man, Luke Prokop. So, and they're range in age from 26 to Brown, 24 for Yannicki, 20 for Lindgren, 23 for Prokop, who was with Milwaukee last year. So if you look at the depth chart for the Condors, where do you see, let's start with Prokop and maybe Lindgren. Like, are both of them going to be on the roster?
I would say their depth. I was actually, before I came on, I actually did out the depth chart just to see what's happening back there. I had to refresh my memory too. But if you look at kind of the left side, Deneen being back in the fold, you have Carfagna, who was signed last season as well too, and you have Lepinen coming over, from Europe as well that the Oilers signed, at least on paper, if you will, and he kind of projects to be, one of those guys that, could be a call-up guy, a guy who's played pro for, the last couple of years, and then you have Stillman, who was in Chicago last year and their organization with Carolina. So you look at, kind of that left side and, that's kind of where it is. And then you kind of have a pro cop kind of kicking in, lingering kind of kicking in. You look at the right side of things and, where does Regula fit in, in the Oilers' plans, this upcoming year? Obviously, he was injured last year, but, a guy who the organization brought in. So assuming that, he's going to want to, get a look at, Bo Akey, of course, who was drafted in the last regime, if you will, and he's going to be coming in for his first pro season. And then, Josh Brown is kicking around as well too. And what does, his second year look like? Is it in Edmonton as a depth guy? Is it in Bakersfield, as a shutdown guy? That's kind of the right side. So that's kind of the mix, if you will. And, Jason, as we know, I mean, you go through 10 to 13 defensemen a year, at the AHL level, whether it's through injury, through call-ups. The Oilers 2 years ago were blessed that, they only had 6 defensemen, I think, play the entire year. That was a rarity, and we saw that last year. And, now going into this year, you have, at least you're looking at it. If Luke Prokop and a shutdown type of defenseman is your 8th guy in the American Hockey League, that's pretty good. Obviously there's a lot of unknowns, I think, back there. There's some young mix. Lepinen coming over is a bit of an unknown, but you like his offensive output and what he did over in Finland, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, good mix and, good character guys that have, had some pro experience under their belt.
When he played, how did Josh Brown play at the American League level last year?
Yeah, I think, it was an adjustment for him. I think initially probably disappointment, I think, for him. Didn't live up to, maybe his own expectations and maybe the Oilers' expectations when they signed him. He had, wife, new kids going around, probably thought he was, in Edmonton full time and then, ended up in Bakersfield. I think once he settled in, I think he was, he was a guy who was dependable, I think, on the back end, a shutdown type of D. Obviously there's not offense there, but, he fought down here. He, I think, provided good minutes. What happens this year, what happens going into training camp, I don't know. But he was up with the Black Aces the entire of the Stanley Cup run as long as the Black Aces were there. And, he was a guy who, obviously played playoff games in the NHL last year. So, I hope for Josh, I think it was just a tough start to the year that, kind of derailed things a little bit. I hope he comes in fresh this year with some fresh eyeballs and can be the tough physical defenseman that, he knows he is and has proven he has been over the course of his career.
You saw Matt Savoy as a rookie in the American League, and it's a tough league to be a rookie. And I think he was top 5 in scoring for rookies and one of the youngest guys in the AHL. And you know what? Kind of, without some of the offensive guys around him, right? Lane Peterson barely played all year long due to injury, right? So he, it's hard to be a highly offensive player if you don't have highly offensive players to play with. I don't care what league you're playing in. When you evaluate his whole season, what he got in on the penalty kill as well as the power play and 5-on-5, do you think Savoy, are you pretty comfortable that he's a guy who's going to start in Edmonton and is ready to contribute?
I'm very comfortable that he's starting in Edmonton. I'm very comfortable that we don't see Matt Savoy in Bakersfield at all this year, at least from my perspective and what that matters. He's mature beyond his years. He's very charismatic. He's poised on the ice. Ton of skill. And you mentioned it. He's got to play with players, and I think that's the type of player that the Oilers can use at the next level. He's a guy who, is a complimentary guy who's, looking, pass first probably. And, he's a guy who's going to be able to, set up a line and drive a line that way in his playmaking ability. And I think you mentioned the penalty killing aspect of his game. I think that's what's going to make him dependable at the next level. And that's where he can become a 13 to 14 minute a night guy because of the penalty kill. So it might be 5-on-5, might be less minutes, but I think penalty kill, I think, is an area of strength of his and one that's going to, really start him off on his pro career at the NHL level, at least. And I'm excited for him because I think the world of him. I think he did everything that was asked of him here in Bakersfield and, wish him nothing but the best, but I don't anticipate seeing the whites of Matt Savoy's eyes this year.
And, the fact that he became, reliable, I think is something that every coach, when you're a highly offensive player, if you can mix in that you're reliable defensively at the NHL level, you're going to get a longer rope. Ike Howard is much more, I think, is regarded as an offensive player. Probably not going to be a penalty killer guy. I think he's more of a pure offensive guy. And so, they're different roles. And I'm not sold that Ike Howard's a lock all year long in Edmonton. He might be. I'm just not sold. Whereas I do feel more comfortable. I think Matt Savoy's pro experience gives him a leg up as far as being a guy who might not play as high up in the lineup all the time, but will be in the lineup.
Yeah, I think, and I can't speak to Howard. I've only seen, what everyone else has seen on TV of his. And I think it's a tremendous, I'll use the word bet or gamble on a player that has terrific upside, especially at his age and how he can maybe fit into a lineup. And, we've seen it before with college guys and free agents, or at least guys who didn't sign with their original team. And, maybe it does take them a little bit to get up to speed, because it is going from college to the NHL. That's a big step.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the Oilers are betting on that he will be there for the majority of the year. And, will he need maybe some time here? Maybe not. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's a really nice, low risk type of gamble for a team that, has the majority of its roster kind of already filled out in pen, sometimes in Sharpie, and, just need some complementary pieces to, really break through. And that's where the development comes of a Savoy, and being able to get a guy like Howard and, take some gambles on some risks and see what pans out.
Ryan Holt joins us, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. And did you see a significant difference in how Colin Schock ran his deployment last year? Now with Stan Bowman as the GM, was there a different directive in your eyes in allocation of minutes and situational play, etc.?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a different directive, but and just in looking at what's going to potentially be here this year as opposed to even last year at the start, or certainly in years past, you look at it, and I think I was trying to do it out today. If you did a projected lineup, there's 5 guys right now in an opening night Condors lineup, if you will, that played for the Condors more than 5 games last year. So I think that speaks volumes to, one, the new organization or the new regime, if you will, and they're trying to inject some new blood and some new faces into the, organization. They could have sat around and said, we'll just take whatever draft picks are left over and, okay, we'll just keep rolling them out every year. But I think, there's been a changing of the guard, if you will. And I know you bring in, Yarventi, and he was hurt last year, but you sign Hudson, Szymanski, Mariala. I mean, some of these guys that come into the organization, that, kind of unheard of in terms of, being on the Oilers' radar, and now you're going to inject them in. So I think it's a summer of change here, I think, in terms of the, just weapons and, kind of the unknown of what's going on in terms of who's coming to, the Condors. But I think it's exciting because, you look at the upsides of guys like Hudson, guys like Yarventi, if he stays healthy, I think is huge to add into the Hamlins and the Griffiths and the Philps and, whoever else ends up from Edmonton's of the world. I think there'll be enough here. I think it's exciting, and we'll see what ends up happening. But I think Colin and Keith McCambridge and, Adam Krug, they've done a nice job of balancing, now 2 general managers and figuring out what's expected. And I think there's definitely a shift on the back end from, big, meaty defensemen, kind of rough, hard-nosed, defensive-minded defensemen to a more shift of, puck moving, being able to skate. You look at Carfagna, you look at Leppinen, guys who have that kind of flair on the back end. So I think it's exciting for the coaching staff to get some new tools to work with, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, it's always interesting, and I was just kind of curious. Deployment. Some organizations say, "Hey, we play our young guys regardless," and I'm not sold on that. If a guy's not ready at the American League, he's not ready to play. Like, sure, you'd like him to play, but you can't just force feed him in. Lastly, one young guy. When you look at the orders, and you talked about the holdover of players, and there's not a lot of them. James Hamlin obviously is one, and Hamlin's a guy who I think he's really close to being an NHL player. He's in a tough organization right now simply because of all their depth down the middle. Noah Phillips, one who's going to come up here, and we'll see. But what about Matvei Petrov, who's one of the younger players still in the organization? I think there's Clattenburg and Stonehouse who might be younger. That's it. But how did you see Petrov's season last year compared to the previous year?
Yeah,
did he make gains?
Yeah, I think the injuries, derailed him. I think, early on, he wasn't fully, recovered from the knee injury, maybe not fully in shape early on in the season. Ended up getting back healthy, and I think he had, 2 or 3 weeks there where, he was really impactful, and you saw maybe what, the organization saw in him, back in his junior days, and then he got hurt again and never really got back off the ground. So hopefully back fully healthy, but, you look at, the names I just listed and, guys, and, whether this is true or not, it's guys who, this new organization, right, Stan and company have brought into the organization that I'm assuming are going to have a leg up, right? A Hudson is going to have a leg up on a Petrov. It's just the way I think it's going to operate. Szymanski is going to have a leg up. He's coming over from Germany, and, he's a guy who is going to compete, for minutes here at this level. So, hopefully Maffey's had a nice summer, nice start to the season here coming up, and we'll see where he ends up slotting in. But yeah, I think there's definitely competition, and, I kind of like it because no spot is kind of, just given to you, just based off, draft pick or not draft pick, because, there's no allegiance, if you will. I think, the Oilers are in win now mode, and whoever can help them win right now is going to earn that leg up.
Ryan, great stuff as always, buddy. We appreciate it. Thanks for a little off-season update, and enjoy some time off, and we'll talk to you again soon here in a month when camp starts.
Thanks, Jason. Have a great rest of your summer. We'll talk soon.
There you go. That's Ryan Holt joining us from Bakersfield. Quick break. We'll come back, wrap things up. It's the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. $65 million up for grabs in Lotto Max. Get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca. And we'll come back, wrap things up. A lot of text in our email inbox, 833-401-1440.
What does excellence truly mean, and how does it guide your choices? At Volvo Cars Edmonton, excellence isn't just a goal, it's their standard. They shine in every aspect, from top-tier customer satisfaction in sales and service to impressive inventory, strong customer loyalty, and prices that are tough to match. Experience the dedication to quality firsthand at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better service. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
Edmonton Elks Country Night is back Friday, August 15th against Toronto. Presented by Coconut Cowboy Rub, featuring the EE Bull Riding Competition, country music all night long, plus a petting zoo and pony rides for the kids. Tickets start at just $20 at GoElks.com.
McDonald's Summer Drink Days are here. Get a $2 small fruit splash beverage or a small frappe or smoothie for just $3 each. Summer's booming with McDonald's Summer Drink Days. Excludes additional flavor shots and toppings at participating McDonald's in Canada. Taxes extra. Prices exclude delivery.
If you're thinking of switching to Co-op Propane, there's no better time than now. Eligible customers who switch to Co-op Propane will receive up to 750 liters of free propane. New customers will get a free tank rental for 1 year. For home, farm, cottage, agricultural, or commercial endeavors, Co-op is ready to look after all your propane needs. Speak to a Co-op Fuel Team member about the benefits of switching to Co-op Propane today.
McDonald's Summer Drink Days are here. Get a $2 small fruit splash beverage or a small frappe or smoothie for just $3 each. Summer's booming with McDonald's Summer Drink Days. Excludes additional flavor shots and toppings at participating McDonald's in Canada. Taxes extra. Prices exclude delivery.
The sun is shining, the weather's warm, and some of Edmonton's favorite sports are back in season. If you're looking for the cherry on top of a perfect summer day, check out Play Alberta to experience casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Download the Play Alberta app today and deposit $20 or more with promo code SUMMER to claim a $100 casino bonus. That's promo code SUMMER for a $100 casino bonus on us. Redeemable once per Play Alberta account. Remember, if you gamble, please use your game sense.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
548 rolling through. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregor, I don't care how good you are. Getting to 3 finals in a row isn't easy. Based on luck alone, a lot of things and bounces have to go your way. 3 years in a row is tough for Mitchell. It is very tough, but keep in mind, Mitchell, this happened twice in the last 6 years. Tampa Bay went 3 years in a row, and then Florida went the next 3 years. So hard, yes, but good teams find ways to stay good. And so obviously what we don't know now is who's healthy when the playoffs begin. And that is the most impactful thing that's impossible to predict. We can look and get a decent gauge on a quality of a team from goaltending to defense to forwards. And you can have a decent gauge. Now, some guys might have a great year. Some guys might struggle. But the one thing that can really change it is a team's health factor. Now, I'm not saying the Oilers would have won, but what if Zach Hyman's healthy in the final? Does that make a difference? Maybe. Right? Nugent Hopkins plays with a broken hand. Does that make a difference? You'll never know, but I think it's fair to say that it has an impact in a series. So the Oilers on paper, and this is the question I asked. So just to get to the Cup final, Florida's irrelevant to get to the Cup final. Florida becomes irrelevant in the Cup final if they're there. But to get to the Cup final, it's Vegas, Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg, LA, Vancouver, Minnesota, St. Louis, Calgary, etc. Right? Those are the teams. So when you look at those teams and their off season, and you look at the Oilers and where the Oilers were, because clearly the Oilers are on a rung above everybody else in the West. They've made it 2 consecutive years. They beat Dallas twice in a row. They beat Vegas. Right? They beat LA 3 times in a row. So they beat Vancouver when they played them. They haven't faced Colorado. They haven't faced Winnipeg in the last few years. They faced Colorado, obviously, in 2022, and that Colorado team was a juggernaut. Even if the Oilers were healthy that year, they ain't beating them, right? Colorado was great. But the Colorado team now is kind of a shadow of that team. And so which of the teams in the West have improved enough for you to say, well, I think Edmonton's below them? None for me. Vegas got Marner, and that will help them offensively, no question. But Alex Pietrangelo, Nick Hague, that's 2 of your top 5 defensemen gone. That's a drop. There's no question. Like, now Vegas still has good defense. Don't get me wrong. With Shea Theodore and Brandon McNabb and White Cloud and Hannafin. But now you've got Korzak and Lazone, who are in your top 6. So with Pietrangelo and Hague out, the other 4 are the same. But you take Pietrangelo and Hague out and you add Lazone and Korzak. I don't think anybody's going to say they're as good. So defensively, they're not as good. Now, they do get Mitch Marner, and he will add a lot. No doubt. But Mitch Marner also doesn't come in with a resume that screams of difference maker in the playoffs. He might become that. Lots of guys have. There's some Hall of Famers. Pavel Datsuk's first 4 years in the playoffs weren't like, oh my God, this guy's going to be, unreal. Takes a while for some. And it's not like Marner's been awful. He was just in a mix where he had too many of the same guys. And I've always said that. They had too many of the same players. None of them were dogs. None of them were like just this leader. And that's okay. They just weren't. So putting them all together, their chance of success, we all saw what happened. So for me in Edmonton, until someone knocks them off in the West, they're the favorite for me. I can't pick anybody else who's ahead of them at this point. I don't get it. So 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregs, I'm curious. You just had the Sando on. Have you ever had Dan Orlovsky on the show? I'm curious if you saw his ranking of quarterbacks. I think he knows the game. However, I don't agree with it. Well, it's funny? We were talking about that during the break. He didn't have Pat Mahomes. And so, Connor, you and I were talking about. And so, to me, when you don't have Patrick Mahomes in your top 10 quarterbacks, I think you're making a list simply to get interaction. And I'm sorry. I have a hard time with that. I don't write something or say it just because I'm like, oh, what kind of reaction can I get? I don't think that's authentic or genuine. But to say Patrick Mahomes isn't a top 10 quarterback in the NHL is so preposterously idiotic. It makes no sense. You can't defend it. How can you say he's not a top 10 quarterback in the league?
I mean, honestly, I feel like I get flack when I say I don't have him in my top 3. People are like, what are you talking about? It's Patrick Mahomes. It's ridiculous. And you just go back and look at this list. It's kind of popping up on social media. Geno Smith is in there. They've got Matthew Stafford at 3, Jaden Daniels after 1 year at 2, Jared Goff ahead of him, Herbert ahead of him. I mean, I just don't see how you can have this with any, serious conversation. He's top 5. He's top 4 at the very least. And he'd be 4. Like, I feel like I could make an argument for Burrow, Allen, and Lamar Jackson, but that's it. That's my top tier of quarterbacks. The rest fall below. So yeah, it's kind of the state of some people though, right? They like to just get the clicks and don't worry about the raids that's going to inevitably ensue.
Yeah, like I just think it's insulting to your audience to do something like that, because your audience is smart enough to know that, give me a break. Patrick Mahomes is not a top 10 quarterback. Like, it's preposterous. You don't have to have number 1. I actually could see lots of arguments for that. Heck, if you don't have number 2, I could see lots of arguments. But number 10, not even there. Like, give me a break. So, anyway, like, you can make a lot of arguments. Lamar Jackson, right? Number 1. Joe Burrow, number 1. Heck, Josh Allen. I get it. You could make an argument there, and you could have a great debate. There's no discussion to name 10. You're telling me Geno Smith is better than Pat Mahomes? Like, I'd love to see the argument as to why that is. Like, it's comical to me. On behalf of Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, I'm Jason Gregor. Have yourselves a wonderful Tuesday evening, and go Riverhawks. Enjoy the game. I hope you have a great time at the ball game. Tomorrow, special guest joining us in studio. We're going to get a little organizational recap. But first, let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by the Red Deer Resort and Casino. Elevate your summer. Stay, play, or dine, and grab discounted gondola tickets to Banff Sunshine all summer long. Highway to Heights runs until September 15th, only at Red Deer Resort and Casino.ca. Good night.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Game day in our city. Riverhawks and Bells meeting in the North Final. This one gets going 7:05 down at Remax Field. At the Major League level, Jays lead the Chicago Cubs 1-0 in the top of the third. Right now, 1-out runners on the corners for Chicago. Elsewhere, Guardians have a 3-0 lead over the Marlins. Reds have the same lead over the Phillies, and the Yankees on top of the Twins 4-1. Later tonight, Diamondbacks taking on the Rangers. Astros host the Red Sox. We've got the Angels and the Dodgers, and the Padres in San Fran. Earlier today, or in the WNBA right now, Wings have a 21-9 lead over the Fever. That's in the first quarter. Later on tonight, you got the Sparks taking on the Liberty. And at the Olympic Rescue Cup in Czechia earlier today, Canada knocked off Switzerland 9-1. They'll take on the Czechs tomorrow at noon. Czechs fell to the Finns 4-1 earlier today. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, it's Fox Sports Radio. We've got live local coverage resuming tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. with Kevin Carius. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
It's Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever